Welcome to RAF Cosford. The arena's been sold out for months for this finale to the indoor season, and England will need every bit of encouragement from the capacity crowd to beat the United States in this Kodak Classic. Hello, good afternoon to you. Well, this England-USA match always has a very unique feel about it. The Americans love coming over here. They enjoy all the attention they receive, but their main aim is always to win the match. And the American team, once again, a very interesting blend of established stars and others who are sure to make a big breakthrough in this Olympic year. England put out just about the strongest team possible, but they know the Americans lead 4-2 in the series, and that everyone will have to produce their very best form to prevent the Americans going even further ahead. Linford Christie defends his status as the fastest 200-metre man this year. David Sharp, only 20, looks to confirm his golden Budapest form. The brilliant Greg Foster makes a long overdue first appearance at Cosford.
There's a rumor going around about a world record. I don't know about that. I don't know about that too much, but I think I'm in good enough shape to be prepared to run a good fast time now.
Tony Campbell continues his fierce, sometimes bitter struggle to end Foster's domination. Seb Coe's here as well, testing his winter training over 3,000 metres. Well, the Americans start this Kodak Classic leading 4-2 since the series began back in 1982, and I well remember an absolute thriller here last year. Everything down to the final event, the 4x400 metres, and the Americans won that and the match as well. But for the first time here today, we've got a trophy at stake. It's the ITV trophy, no expense spared, solid bronze, and it's up for grabs here and in the outdoor meeting that takes place in Birmingham in June. And if the Americans win it, I tell you, they're going to be in for a spot of excess baggage, because that trophy weighs an absolute ton. Let's get into the action with the 400 metres. England have never won this event. They're going to be very hard-pressed to alter that trend this time round. But England sending out Mark Thomas, the 3A's indoor champion, and he'll be out to make up for a very disappointing showing in those European Indoor Championships in Budapest last weekend. Steve Ovett is in the commentary box, along with Peter Matthews and Alan Parry.
The men's 400 metres, and with the likes of Derek Redmond, Phil Brown and Roger Black away enjoying warm weather training at the moment, a chance for two of our youngsters, Gary Cadogan making his England debut in lane 1, and Mark Thomas, who ran in the European Indoor Championships last week in lane 3. Two good Americans here, particularly Ken Lowry in lane 2, the American 500 metres champion for 1988. Competitor indeed. He really is in outstanding form at the moment as well. A regular visitor here. He won the race 3 years ago and has twice been placed second. Lowry second from the right, the shaven-headed of the two Americans. Going well for England here. Mark Thomas, wearing number 2, the 22-year-old from Birchfield Harriers, leads at the bell. 22.5, so it was a very nippy opening lap, and Thomas is leading. But Jenkins, the second American, has moved into second place, and coming hard on the outside is Ken Lowry. This will be a fine victory for Thomas if he can hold on here. The Americans closing on him. Can he hold on? He's tying up, and the Americans take the first 2 places, with Lowry just getting it ahead of Jenkins and Mark Thomas third. 47.41, the winning time for Ken Lowry. And what a fine effort it was by Mark Thomas. He really gave his best. It was a very positive race. In the end, Steve, it ended in defeat for him. But what better way is there to lose than that?
Well, he gave everything he had there, Alan, and I think he deserved better. But if you watch the Americans here, they're closing on him down this back straight. They echelon out to the outside of the track, and they're really, I think, waiting for the moment when Mark starts to tire, and he really has been trying hard from 300 metres out here to break those two. But as you can see, coming off this final bend, they surge past him. His stride length's literally shortening by the metre here, and fighting as hard as he couldn't stop the two Americans coming past. Lowry on the outside there dips at the line and just gets the verdict. But a great race to start the match off with, I must admit.
Well, Mark Thomas had a disappointment when he found himself boxed in the preliminary rounds in Budapest and didn't even make the semi-finals. The winner of the 3A's indoor title and a big talent, was disappointed about that race, but I'm sure will be a lot better to have got that one under his belt, even if he did finish third. And maximum points in this 5-3-2-1 scoring system for the two Americans.
And there's confirmation of the times. 47.39 for Lowry, 47.44 for Jenkins, Mark Thomas in third, and Gary Cadogan in fourth. And now we can catch up on the men's shot. This is Scott Erickson of the USA, who had a lead in the first round at 18 meters 36. And there he goes in the second round. A long lead he had, 16.54 to Britain's Billy Cole. Both the Americans using the rotational spin technique, and again, well over 18 meters. Looks to be an improvement for Erickson, who was third in the American Championships, second, in fact, in this match last year. And you'll note the difference in the techniques here. The Americans rotating, the Britons using the straightforward, what's known as the Barry O'Brien step-back technique. So the measurement just being looked at now for Erickson, who's an outdoor best of about 1950. That's close to his indoor best, 1860. Now we can pick up Erickson, who had an 18.43 in the third round, in the fourth. Still well ahead of the competition. The other American, Marty Kobza, started with 3 no throws. Oh, that's better. Erickson over 19 meters now, so that will be an indoor personal best for him. 18 meters 97 was his best so far, with a roof above his head. Spinning round and getting the force directly behind the shot there, and out it goes to just over the 19-meter line. So in the fourth round, in second place was Billy Cole, the third round effort of 16.73. But now, after that Erickson, 19.11, here's young Matthew Simpson of Thurrock. Oh, really got behind that one, and splendid. That's out over the 17-meter line for the 17-year-old, best in the world, in fact, at this age group. Personal best of 17.42, and this was very close indeed to it. Matthew Simpson, and out it goes, in fact, to 17 meters 38, a tremendous response, and moves him up into second place. So that gives the Americans something a little bit to think about. But there, supposed number one, in fact, Marty Kobza, personal best over 20 meters, has had a disastrous start with 3 fouls. Losing his balance, which sometimes the rotators do, and stepping out of the circle. That time, though, okay, and he's moved past Simpson. Still well below his best, short of the 18-meter line. Man who was second in the American Championships, best of 2020. Out it went at 17.78. Moves up to second. Now here we see Billy Cole in the fifth round. 17.06 is best, and that's marginally better, perhaps. Billy Cole, who took more or less a year out of action last year. And a slight improvement, in fact, for Cole. As we look again at his fifth round put, it went out to 17 meters 12. Billy Cole and Matt Simpson, both from Essex, competing here for England. Cole, the Commonwealth champion, but just struggling a bit to come back into top-class action. And he's headed now by young Matt Simpson. It really is good to see Simpson, who's getting a record of producing his best when it matters against top-class opposition. Oh, he got behind that one, and that's even better. Well over 17 meters, and it looks like a personal best for the 17-year-old. His outdoor best, or indoor best, rather, he set in the championship 17.42. And that's better. It's over 17.50. It's 17 meters 53. So although behind the Americans, that's a tremendous performance for Matt Simpson in his first international season at senior level. And there was the result of the shot. Scott Erickson, the winner, at 19.11. Marty Kobza, 17.78. Simpson was third, personal best 17.53. And Billy Cole fourth at 17.12.
Bilston, his club, and Thomas Jefferson of the United States on the left-hand side, wearing number 3. So a little added tension for the experienced Emmett King, with a personal best indoors of 6.55. Barrington Williams, 6.65 is his best set this year. He'll also be competing, incidentally, later in the long jump. The men's 60 meters, though. They were rocking in the blocks again, and in the end, Curtin made a superb start, but here comes Emmett King, and it's the American who's going to take it, and just Jefferson got second. But Barrington Williams ran very well and almost separated the United States challengers. 6.64 the time as well for Emmett King. He made not the best of starts. Nearest to the camera, the young David Curtin was away very sprightly indeed, but then the powerful build, the shoulders working hard, really pumping away. Emmett King, second from the right, and it was King who got to the line first. Look how close in the middle Williams was to separating the two Americans, but Jefferson just made it. Steve.
Well, that was really quite a bad start there from a really experienced man in the form of Emmett King. He actually looked up there and saw three men gaining about a yard on him in the first 10 yards, and I think from then on he knew he had a bit of a battle just to get to the front, let alone win the event. But a bit of a struggle, but I think you saw the class of the man in the last 30 or so meters. He actually powered his way through, and it's as we were showing, it's a bit of a pity that Linford didn't want to race against him. I think we could have seen a great race there.
So the winner, as expected, Emmett King. And one of the big stars of the meeting is due on track shortly. He's the world's #1 sprint hurdler, Greg Foster. We'll be back soon.
Both of them have jumped further than that this winter.
Nonetheless, John Herbert, one of our best hopes for getting some good points in the field. That 16:43 on the left is John Tillman's opening jump. So Tillman, American runner-up, is in the lead. And John Herbert, 25-year-old from Harringay, moving back into his best form this winter. He had a disappointing season last year, and he wasn't selected for Rome. But here he goes, first effort. Oh yes, that looks good. You can see the markers on the board there, the 16-metre and 17-metre. That's midway between. And the distance to look out for was Tillman's 16:43, and I think this may well be better for John Herbert, who was 5th in the European indoors with 16 metres 87. Doesn't particularly like jumping here at Cosford. The surface he doesn't find particularly conducive for long jumping, but that was a good one. And Herbert looking in the sort of form which will take him back over 17 metres, we hope, during the summer. Certainly he's going to need that if he's going to be able to contend with distinction in the year, and looking for a place, of course, in Seoul. And yes, it was indeed. Herbert takes the lead, 16 metres 67. Now we come on the track to the 1,000 metres. An all-domestic lineup. Dawn Gandy, who represented Britain at 800 metres in the European indoors. 22-year-old from Hounslow is in lane 2. Inside her is Beverly Nicholson of Sale, the women's 3As champion, indoors and out over 1,500 metres. And then going through the rest of the lineup, Jane Finch of Grimsby, Helen Thorpe of Ashford, Anne-Marie Richards of Cardiff, and Karen Hutchinson of Berry Hill and Mansfield. The oldest in the field at 30 is #1, Jane Finch, who is a former European indoor 800-metre champion and indeed world indoor record when she won that title back in 1977. There she is. Same year, in fact, that Seb Coe won the European indoor title, and of course we'll be seeing him in action later this afternoon. And the distance here is 1,000 metres. 5 laps of this 200-metre track. Jane Finch's personal best of 2:40.32, the second best ever recorded indoors by a British athlete. British record 2:38.95, held by Kirsty Wade. So off they go. Helen Thorpe showing, and then Dawn Gandy just tucking in behind her. Helen Thorpe wearing #6, Dawn Gandy #2. #3 there is Karen Hutchison, the young Scottish and also the Midlands champion at 1,500 metres last year. Helen Thorpe in the lead. Ran for England in the Commonwealth Games at 800 metres. 4th in this year's indoor 1,500 metres. Battling on the outside, Karen Hutchison of Berry Hill, Mansfield, and Dawn Gandy tucked in between them. A longer distance than usual for Dawn Gandy. She made her name really at 400 metres, has moved up quite successfully to 800, but this is certainly stretching it to be going as far as another lap round this 200-metre track. Running wide, #3, Karen Hutchison. Jane Finch tucked in on the inside in the pink vest. Now up into 3rd place. So it's Helen Thorpe and then Dawn Gandy.
I was just watching Dawn Gandy. She's got a lovely style in second place there. She looks very, very relaxed, and for the first 200 anyway, it was quite a fast rhythm. I think they went through in about 31, Peter, but they've slowed significantly in this second quarter. I think Helen's finding it a bit of a struggle out there in front, and she doesn't seem to be getting much help from anybody else, but she is really pushing it along at quite a respectable pace. One of the points, I don't know whether you think it's a good thing, but in these sort of races and in some of the other domestic races, I often think that the women should run with some of the men. In other words, get a faster rhythm going so that they can actually be competitive when they come against that sort of rhythm in international competition.
Well, actually have a mixed race, you mean, Steve?
Yes, I think so. In this sort of instance, Peter, I mean, if Helen was being helped along by some of the male athletes being led through at a reasonable pace, I think we could see some of our girls, you know, getting used to that sort of rhythm and getting used to the sort of speed and the endurance that you need to clip that type of rhythm, really.
Interesting thought. They do it a little bit in Australia, though. In fact, it's against IAF rules on the whole for such matches. But an interesting thought. Helen Thorpe, though, still in the lead from Dawn Gandy, and Bev Nicholson looking quite promising, also in third place. It's the first four, and the other two have chucked off. Jane Finch struggling to keep up with the pace at the bell. Good time, 2 minutes 9.9 at 800 metres. Thorpe, who's really led throughout. Gandy looking smooth, sitting in behind her. Nicholson, who's such a fighter, tucked in on the inside, battling a little bit with Gandy, trying to come through, and Nicholson's found the way through, threaded her way through between Thorpe and Gandy. Nicholson hits the front. Is it positive enough? I think it is. The others are struggling. Gandy is trying to go with her, but Nicholson made the move at the decisive point, and it's the Sale Harrier, the 21-year-old, so promising, won the Women's 3A's title outdoors last year, her first major title, confirmed that indoors, and she's taken the victory in this 1,000 metres, and a really useful run from her. And Jane Finch, in fact, came through at the end into second place.
Well, the next event on the track is one of the highlights of this Kodak Classic. It's the men's 60-metre hurdles. Bit of a shame, I suppose, that John Ridgin isn't here, but he's had a very busy and productive winter. 13 races, in fact, according to our statistician, Ian Hodge. Colin Jackson not around either, but of course, as a Welshman, he'd only be eligible for the invitation race that's coming up a little bit later on. So that leaves the stage clear, really, for the two great Americans, Tony Campbell and Greg Foster. Now, these two are hardly bosom buddies. There's been a bitter war of words over in the States. Yesterday, they refused to be photographed together here at Cosford. Not exactly top of each other's Christmas card list then, but Greg Foster has won everything except the Olympic Games. What are his expectations on his Cosford debut?
I'm not sure how much the jet lag is going to bother me at all. Hopefully I come out here and run a good race for the people and do very well. I hope. You know, there's a rumor going around about a world record. I don't know about that. I don't know about that too much, but I think I'm in good enough shape to be prepared to run a good fast time.
It's by far the most energetic crowd that you can find in the UK and most of Europe. I mean, for an indoor circuit, I've been on a few races this season alone on the indoor circuit, and you can't find a crowd like here at Cosford. It's great. It's just great.
I still haven't won the gold medal in the Olympic Games, and the fact that I don't have the outdoor world record, I think those two really keep me motivated. And besides that, I still enjoy the sport very much. It's still fun, and I really have a good time at it.
In the past, my worst enemy was myself, in terms of my lack of concentration, getting involved in little rivalries and other things that really don't need to be a part of Tony Campbell. Tony Campbell's a fun-loving guy and enjoys the sport, and I need to get back to that. I really need to find who I am again. And once I get back to me, it's not going to be too many other obstacles in the way in terms of another human being or a time or anything like that. Once I find me, I'll be all right.
Not everyone can be number one, and you know, it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of, you know, concentration to do that. The fact that we're having problems right now, I don't really, you know, feel that they're going to hinder our performances in any way at all.
I really think that we need to set a better example. We don't need to be like boxers, or we don't need to be like ice hockey and go out there and fight and argue and bicker, because that's not what it's all about. Good sportsmanship is what it's all about in track and field, and I need to be a better representative, a better ambassador of the sport.
There's problems in any sport and any team, and that's the way it goes. You know, you can't have everything you want, and we can't be friends like because everybody else wants us to be friends. We have to be friends because that's what we want to do. And that right now, I think we both want to be, but I think it's going to come down to the point one just going out and just making an effort to do so.
The views then of two of the greatest athletes on view here today, Greg Foster on the left and Tony Campbell on the right. And they meet now in one of the big races of the day, this 60 metres hurdles. Greg Foster World champion outdoors in 1983 and again in 1987. Unquestionably the world's #1 at the moment. And Tony Campbell there in the spectacles, unquestionably the world's #2 of the moment. The full lineup, as you can see, the two Englishmen who have to face the battle against these two Americans here. What a job they've got. Steve Buckridge and Andrew Tulloch. Campbell nearest to the camera then. Foster in lane 4, second from the top of the screen. And they're away, and Campbell made a very good start, and Foster wasn't away very well. Campbell is leading at the moment. Can Foster come back at him? He is doing so, but Campbell makes it. Foster has to settle for second place. Well, Tony Campbell has reversed the usual lineup when these two meet, and Greg Foster, the world's #1, has been beaten. It was all down to the start, really. Campbell, nearest to the camera, made the best start. Foster didn't, and over 60 metres, of course, there is precious little time to recover. Foster did recover, but not sufficiently to win it. And Campbell really wanted that one badly. The two arch rivals fought all the way to the tape, and Campbell it was who wins. Foster took second, and Steve Buckridge third for England. The winning time, 7.60 seconds for Tony Campbell. Well, looking at it again, Steve, from the head-on camera here, it was the battle we'd expected.
Well, there's not much between these two, is there, all the way through the race, Alan, I think. And as you mentioned earlier, it was the start that made the difference, only a matter of inches. But if you're talking about the world's best, then these two guys certainly are that. And as we saw in the interview beforehand, they've got a bit of friendly rivalry going there. They say that you know, that they don't actually speak to one another, but I think they do occasionally, and it's probably at the end of a race. And at the end of that one, I think they walk back along separate parts of the track, really. But a good race, really, and I think it's just sad that we can't see some of our top boys running against them.
And Tony Campbell, given the verdict by 100th of a second, his 4th win against England over Greg Foster. Steve Buckridge 3rd, 7.87. Andrew Tulloch in 4th, 8.16.
And from one of, or two of the great American stars on view, to probably the best-known Englishman in the arena today, the great Seb Coe. 31 now, Seb, and he's had some well-publicised problems in this Olympic year of 1988. He ran in New Jersey in the United States a few weeks ago and didn't finish. The letters DNF, something that he has very rarely had placed against his name in his marvellous, illustrious career. Listen to the reception from the full house Coltswood crowd. Terrific applause for one of the all-time greats of British athletics. He won this race in fine style back in 1987. But in 1988, his year started problematically. He's had an injury problem which has hung around for an awful long time. He admitted that he wasn't really in shape for this American race won by Brian Abshire. The pace was too hot for him, he said. And as Abshire went on to win, Seb Coe had the ignominy of having to pull out of the race. Well, he should have had one more race in the United States since then, but he withdrew from that as well. So there's a lot of pressure on Seb Coe here today in this 3,000 metres. 15 laps of the track. And there's the other Englishman in the field, Adrian Passy, the 23-year-old from Bromsgrove, who will be applying even more pressure because Adrian Passy believes today that he can beat Seb Coe. The Americans, Jay Woods and Jim Norris. And there's one guest runner in the match wearing number 5, or is it 6? I can only see number 6 there. It is number 6. That's Michael Blackmore, a miler who we think might be making the pace. Adrian Passy has gone out into the lead, the young man who is a highly talented individual. Indeed, many think he has world-class potential. He won the 3A's indoor title in 1987 in a time of 7:52.87. He comes here very determined to put on a very good performance today, and indeed it's said that he was asked to move out of this event into the mile but refused to do so because he felt that he could have a stab at Seb Coe. he says, well, Sebco's not going to worry about me. He's probably never even heard of me and doesn't even realize I'm in the race. Well, Seb does now. So, a fascinating battle here, and so many intriguing questions in this race as Jay Woods, the American, takes over the leadership. Is Sebco back? Can he overcome the disappointments of the winter so far for him? Is Passy capable of beating him? And are we forgetting about the American challenge as well? Steve Ovett.
Well, it all sounds very exciting, doesn't it, Alan? But I think there's logical answers to a lot of those questions. I think Seb, when he raced in the States, found himself up in a situation where they were running the second fastest time in history indoors over 3,000, and that was Abshire, 7:41. And that type of race is not the sort of thing you want to get involved in first time out. So he found himself off the back of that, and as he said later in interviews, he was suffering or coming down with a cold. And also, I think it was, as he mentioned, a baptism of fire. So it's a pretty tough initial race for him here. But he's come across, and I think he wants to sort of gain a little bit more of a respect by running in a race and winning it in a domestic field over here in England. And I think he's in the right position, and I think he's watching the only guy ready, which is Passy.
Interesting here, the pace has been quickening each lap. 33 the first lap, then a 32, and then a 31 as Jay Woods has taken over.
This time round, they have 11 laps to go. And Sebco won't want the pace to be too hot, that's for sure. He has evidently been in very fine form in training. He's been over to Florida to get some warm weather, the sunshine on his back. He still hasn't publicly declared his intentions for this Olympic year. Will he be going for 1,500 meters or 5,000 meters? I think most people would say now that it's likely to be 1,500 meters as Jim Norris regains the lead for the United States. The Americans seem to be running this tactically as a team. Norris leads then, Passy in second place, and then it's the other American, Jay Woods, who's third, Sebco in fourth.
It's still pretty quick with a couple of 61.8 laps.
Yes, they're keeping the pace going here, and it's good to see the Americans actually working hard. I think they realised that with Seb and even with Adrian Passy in the race, who are very fast over the last 2 or 3 laps, they've got to get out there and push it hard, Alan. And we're seeing at the moment, you know, Woods doing a fairly strong job of pushing the pace along. Seb's dropping off, but I think he'll literally come back fairly relaxed. He doesn't want to sort of stretch himself out too early and tire his legs for the sprint finish. But I think if it comes down to the last 2 or 3 laps, Seb's sprint against Passy, I think, could be quite interesting.
Terrific applause, and the home crowd here very much on the side of Sebco, wanting to see him doing something pretty special here. The leading American, incidentally, Jay Woods, was third in the recent United States Championships. There's the latest match score at the bottom of the screen, with the United States holding a big lead at the moment. Their success in the field events a major influence on that scoreline, and some of England's better events still to come, as the crowd still go absolutely potty as Sebco moves through into third place. And there's a fair amount of local Midland support as well for the Bromsgrove athlete Adrian Passy, now in second place behind the leader Jim Norris.
Adrian looks very good, actually, Alan. I mean, he looks as if he's holding back all the time, holding back, waiting to go. I'm just worried that if it's a tactical race and he holds back too long, he really will underestimate Seb's acceleration and his speed. And I think here we've seen that he may even be realising that, and he's taken the lead, and it's trying to draw the sting out of Seb over a long period from home.
Well, Adrian Passy said coming into this race that he had nothing to lose and everything to gain, and he certainly didn't want to miss this opportunity, he said, to get a scalp like Sebco's. It's one he'd hang on his wall, to use his own phrase. And again, he said it was a dream come true, literally, just to be on the same track as such a great athlete. But that dream could be brighter still, because he's beginning to stretch away. Coe has responded, but he isn't looking at his most comfortable, I would have to say. Seb Coe is feeling the effects, there's no doubt about that, of this hard race that 23-year-old Adrian Passy is giving him. 5 laps to go, and Seb Coe has allowed a dangerous gap to develop between himself and the leader.
And one of the reasons, clearly, that was the fastest lap of the race, a 30.1 second lap by Passy.
Steve Ovett, we could be in for a storming finish here.
Well, I think, as you said, Seb's going to really pull something out, because Adrian looked over his shoulder when he went through the bell there, not the bell, actually, the lap marker. He's looking back all the time at Seb, and I think he sees there's a big gap there, and that's going to give him more and more confidence as he's going on. 4 laps to go now, and there's a gap of, what, 20 metres or so, and Adrian is doing the job which I think he needed to do, which was to take the sting out of Seb. I think Seb is still looking a little bit jaded. I don't think he's at his best at the moment. It's going to be a long summer, and I think that he's gearing his training basically for that.
And even quicker that lap, 30.1, so he's thrown in a 60-second 400 metres.
That's right, it's a bit like a drip torture, really. It's the worst type of race to be involved in. Every lap gets faster, so the pain increases lap by lap. And I think if you're feeling bad, then Adrian is turning the thumb screws here.
Under 3 laps to go then, and Passy could be on his way to a famous victory over one of the world's greatest, Seb Coe. Seb did say not to expect too much of him because of his problems here, but you can't take away from Adrian Passy what will be the victory of his short career so far, and it has to be that now, because Seb Coe cannot reduce that gap. 2 laps to go for Adrian Passy, and the young man who was so determined to be in this race because he felt that he had a prospect of beating Coe, and that kind of thing doesn't come round very often in your career. And his confidence is beginning to pay off. Passy has a massive and unbeatable lead. Seb Coe, the great Olympic champion over 1,500 metres in successive games, sees Passy take the bell, and this is going to be a lap that Adrian Passy will remember for a long time in his life. Fantastic noise as Adrian Passy is just a few steps away now from a victory that will make tomorrow morning's headlines. Seb Coe doesn't suffer defeat very often, but Adrian Passy has beaten him today. 7:57.85, the winning time, and a long way back, Seb Coe in 2nd place. Maximum points in the match, of course, for England, and Adrian Passy will remember that moment for the rest of his life. Seb Coe, of course, will say that this was a stepping stone on the way to the bigger things later in the year, as indeed it is. Not too much should be read into that defeat, but nonetheless, you cannot deflect the glory from Adrian Passy. Steve Ovett.
Well, that's true. I mean, we can all say that it's a long time to in the Summer Olympics, but let's not detract from Adrian. He came here, he's done the job, he's done a great performance. But as I say, I think Seb's had a whole year off, from racing, and it's going to take him a long, long time to get back. And I think that just demonstrates the fact there quite clearly.
Tremendous atmosphere then, and a standing ovation for Adrian Passy. And disappointment for Sebastian Coe. Well, coming up later, I'll look back at some of the highlights of the indoor season in Olympic year, and of course, more live action from Cosford. Join us again soon. James France, Robin Harrison, the most experienced man in the lineup here. It's quite a large field, as you can see, because there are 4 guest runners. Those taking part in the match are Robert Harrison and the little-known Joe Dunbar, who's just 21, from Shaftesbury Harriers. They're the 2 English representatives. And Daryl Frerker and Roosevelt Jackson for the United States. The others, that's John Hartigan, Andrew Geddes, Pat Chester and Graham Saker, are all running as guest competitors. Big moment for Joe Dunbar. He was 3rd in the 3A's indoor championships over 1,500 metres, and his mile best time is 4 minutes and 7 seconds, which could take some lowering. Anyway, straight into the lead for the United States. There's the small figure of Daryl Frerker, the 24-year-old from Illinois. He's just 5 feet 5 inches tall, and he's gone off as though this might be a shorter distance than he realizes. He really has gone off at a fair lick, and the rest of the pack staying a sensible distance behind him. Roosevelt Jackson, the black of the 2 Americans, who was 4th in the American Championships in Madison Square Garden a couple of weeks ago. And Robert Harrison, bringing up third place ahead of Joe Dunbar. So it's the match athletes, so to speak, who fill the first 4 places at the moment. Steve Ovett, we've seen some terrific mile races over the years in indoor and outdoor internationals between these two, but we have to be honest and say the field today is a little weaker than it has been.
Yes, I think virtually the whole of the American middle and some of the shorter distances are fairly weak on the field, because I think that most of them after their national championships either packed in competition for the year or decided that they didn't really want to come all the way across to England for a match and then go back home again. It's as simple as that, really, Alan. So really some of these guys are not their top boys, but even so they're still quite good by any normal standards, I think. But as you see in this field at the moment, I think you've got to accept that someone like Rob Harrison really is a class apart, I think, and he's doing the right at the moment. He's just tailing in third place there, watching the leader. If he makes sure that if he goes too far, he'll chase him, and if he doesn't, he'll come back to him. It's as simple as that, really.
Frerker still leading then, and Jackson has moved through into second now. So the Americans filling the first 2 places with 4 laps to go. Robert Harrison is 28 now, Liverpudlian. He runs for the local Birchfield Harriers these days. And he has had some victories over the years in this international fixture. In 1984, he won the match, running over 800 metres. And the following year, he was European indoor champion. That was the golden patch of his career, certainly. Haven't seen too much of him this season, and he is certainly going to be one of those many, many guys around battling for the 3 places over 1,500 metres in Britain's Olympic team later in the year. And Harrison has gone forward to separate the 2 Americans now, and also of the guest runners, Andrew Geddes from Crewe. Looking good. He's moved through to third place, and the early leader, the American Darrell Frerker, paying the price for his rather extravagant early pace, although it wasn't that quick, but it was certainly quicker than the rest of the field, and he's really moved right back through the pack, and he's in fact right at the end now. This is Jackson, the other American, leading, under 2 to go.
Yes, Frerker's frenetic early pace, 59 seconds for the first quarter mile, but then it slowed, the 64s and 64s again up to the 3:07 3/4 mile.
Rob Harrison begins to move, and the only one who's gone with him is the guest Andrew Geddes, who was runner-up in last year's United Kingdom Championships outdoors over 1,500, and he would like the scalp of Rob Harrison if he could. He cannot score in the match, a reminder. So Harrison leading. Joe Dunbar has moved through into third place now, ahead of Jackson, so it could be a good point-scoring race this for England. Harrison in the lead, Geddes the guest is second, Dunbar running well above expectations is third, and Jackson is fourth, and that order I don't think will change. Harrison wins it, Geddes second, Dunbar third, Jackson fourth. 4 minutes 3.86, and the wise and experienced Rob Harrison uses his ability and experience perfectly. And behind him, Joe Dunbar, who's really a steeplechaser, an unknown quantity and a bit of a surprise selection, justified his selection by coming through to help Britain take all the points.
Magnificent run for him too, 4:52, a personal best by 2 seconds.
Well, as I said, Alan, I think you saw there that Rob really, I think he's almost becoming an indoor specialist, isn't he? He's won the European indoor, and he always performs well here at Cosford. It's almost like a home track to him. Running remarkably well, doing everything that was asked of him, getting the points in, and as you say, Joe Dunbar there really gritting his teeth and fighting off the American for third place. I mean, that's great. It's good to see a youngster coming through, getting the experience and getting the points as well. We desperately need them. We just saw it there. We're about 20 or so points behind at the moment, and we really need our middle distance runners to capitalise on the weakness of the Americans and get the 1 and 2 there, which we did.
Number 6 there is Andrew Geddes, who was second as a guest runner.
Well, that's a good victory there for Rob Harrison, and England make up a bit more ground, as you might have seen. Seb Coe has joined me up here very quickly. Seb, I'm sure people will say disaster for Coe, shock Sebco, etc., etc. How do you read your defeat here?
Well, you've got to put it on two levels. One, I'm very, very short of race fitness, and there's no way around that. You can't just suddenly get back into it after 20 months. I'd hoped I would have run perhaps with a little bit more sparkle here, but all it does reinforce is that, thank goodness, the Olympics are in October, and I've got a great deal of work to do between now and then.
Does it make you realise, after a pretty barren year last year, that the mountain is going to be a very steep one for you to get back into contention?
Yes, it is a steep mountain. It's not a mountain. It's not a mountain I'm unused to. I've had to do it twice in the past, so I know at least how to tackle it. Getting to the top is a different matter.
You said don't expect too much from me here, but would you have expected to run a little bit quicker, for instance, outside 8 minutes?
Yes, I would have done. You don't gloss over that. Not, as I said, not the most sparkling performance, and a great deal. I mean, running is a mental thing as well, and I've got a great deal of thinking to do about the direction of my training, and it's only in these situations that you can leave a racetrack knowing how to alter things.
Right. I think you said to us last year that this particular match is the one you never want to miss. Do you now feel you might have been better off doing a bit of hard training as opposed to running here?
No, certainly not. I need races, and you ask any of the athletes out there, it is always an honour to be selected to run for your country, and I'm delighted to have been up here today.
And I know you would probably like to pay tribute to Adrian Passer. You said he wanted your scalp very badly, and he got it, didn't he?
He ran extremely positively. Ran a good, solid race, and I think he's going to have, obviously, a very good season. 1,500 metres this year? Certainly. Good. OK, Seb, thanks for joining us so quickly, and I'm sure things will turn around for you. Thank you. Let's get back to the action.
Next race on the track is an invitation race, although it's a rather higher standard than many invitation races, because it involves these two again. Tony Campbell with his usual praying mantis pre-race routine, and it worked, didn't it? Because he got victory over the other guy, who you'll see as the camera pulls back. There he is, world number one, Greg Foster. They meet again, yes, in this invitation race. Here's the full lineup. Two extra competitors, of course, because it's a two-sided international, so we could only have 4 in the match race. But now we have the lanes filled by guests Hugh Teep from Enfield running in lane 1. Then it's Tony Campbell, the United States, in 2. Steve Buckridge of Birchfield in 3. Greg Foster of the United States in 4. Andrew Tulloch of Wolverhampton and Bilston in 5. And Brett St. Louis, who's just 19, the Herne Hill Harrier, in lane 6. Greg Foster will not need a great deal of motivation for this race. As you may have heard earlier in the programme, he and Tony Campbell are not exactly bosom buddies, and the fact that Tony Campbell beat him in the match earlier will give him the spark he needs to really go for this one. As you can see, both of them appearing in the list of all-time times for this event. Greg Foster on top of the pile. Greg Foster will know that his start cost him dearly in the match, and he will be, I'm sure, concentrating on getting away from the blocks quicker than this man, Tony Campbell. Absolute concentration in the sprint races indoors, where there is no time to overcome an error. One mistake, generally speaking, and you're finished, particularly in a hurdles race. And if Campbell can score 2 victories in a day over his great rival, Greg Foster here, then he would go back to the United States a very, very happy man. The lineup again from the top: St. Louis, Tulloch, Foster, Buckridge, Campbell and Teep. Well, Campbell was so anxious to get away quickly that he absolutely leapt from his blocks before there was the merest indication of a starting pistol being fired, and he acknowledges that fact. I think we can see exactly, not exactly a difficult decision for the starting officials to decide who is responsible there. I think that underlines his anxiety and desire to win again. Campbell second from the right. Foster in lane 4, both wearing the blue American vests. Two of the greatest exponents of sprint hurdling the world has ever seen. And this time it was Foster. Well, they're such rivals, they've got to even emulate each other's false starts, it would appear. And Greg Foster's career has been dotted with them. A kind of wry smile, I think you'd call that. And Foster fourth from the top of the picture here. Away he went, too early.
Well, it's worth a try, wasn't it, really, Alan? he could have caught the gun and it would have been a victory there, because the difference is so marginal between these two. But you see the two red flags there. That means they've only got, well, they haven't now. They haven't got a chance now of trying the same thing again. They've got to get a good start this time.
So they settle for the third time. The nerves just churning in the stomach, even tighter. They're like coil springs at the moment. And this time they are away. A pretty even start between those two. It's going to be another terrific finish, this. Campbell, Foster. Foster, I think, got it this time. Yes. Close again. 7.59 the winning time. And that will be a satisfying victory for Greg Foster. He at least has squared things up. I think, with due respect to the status of the international match, he won't really bother that his victory came in the non-match event. It was a case of having to restore a bit of pride here for Greg Foster.
1-1, wasn't it, in the end? Good draw, as they say, I think. Two good races. But it whets the appetite for the summer season, because you can imagine another 40 metres to these guys, and they'll be battling it out all the way, wouldn't they? So I think they can be satisfied with that. A bit of jet lag may be affecting the performances. A bit of sort of rivalry there in the starts. I think we saw the anticipation, or anticipating the start. But as you see, it's great that these two guys are competing almost twice in one event, and all the other guys are getting all the experience to run against the best in the world. Tremendous performance.
Here we are on the triple jump. Earlier we saw John Herbert take the lead at 16 metres 67. This is young John Edwards, 21-year-old, now representing Gateshead Harriers in his England international debut. And he's made a fine start with an indoor personal best of 16:03 in the first round. England international debut, but he represented Britain in the World Student Games last summer. And he's a fine talent. Well, he didn't seem entirely happy, but it looked a good jump to me. He's now at Durham University. 21-year-old. Let's look again. He's certainly threatening our established men, John Herbert and Eric McCalla, up towards the 17-metre line. Edwards last year had a best of 16:35 outdoors, and that's better. That's a personal best, 16 metres 37, and he is pleased, as he should be. Tremendous start for John Edwards, because it's usually reckoned that what you can achieve at Cosford, you can do better elsewhere. Here's the high jump, Dalton Grant, second attempt, 2 metres 50. There he goes. Dalton Grant competing for England with John Holman, who unfortunately has had to withdraw, having cleared an opening height of 2 metres. But we've also got Jeff Parsons competing as a guest. But in the match, well, Jeff Parsons, I should say, because he's a Scot, can't represent England. But here's Dalton Grant, second time successful at 2 metres 15. So Dalton Grant, who has a couple of times jumped 2 metres 24 this year, including the European indoors. But now back on the triple jump, here's John Herbert again. He followed that opening 16:67 with a 16-metre 45 in the second round, and he still leads, with John Tillman of the USA second at 16:43, and now John Edwards in third place, 16:37. John Herbert, a former winner of this match against the USA. Well, he went very high indeed on that final jump and didn't quite have the impetus at the end, but I think it was an improvement nonetheless for him. He did an indoor best of 16 metres 87 in the European doors, and in fact holds the all-comers record here at Cosford at 16 meters 79. And look at the height he gets on that final jump. Comes down a bit solidly at the end of it, but it's another good jump. Let's look again. Off he goes. And look at the height springing up at the end, and indeed it is better. 16 meters 76, and he increases his lead in this good clash against the Americans.
Well, coming up next, it's David Sharp, the European indoor champion in the 800 meters. But the indoor season effectively ends here. I suppose it's been a bit quieter than normal, but we should expect that in Olympic year, with coaches unwilling to expose their athletes to the intensity of international competition. There have, though, been many notable performances. Let's enjoy them now as we reflect the indoor season 1988.
Until an injury curtailed his progress, Ben Johnson blazed a trail of success. He won all 11 races at the short sprints and twice improved the world record at 50 yards, here in Toronto to 5.15. Johnson's great rival for sprinting supremacy, Carl Lewis, however, had a quiet winter. He competed only once indoors, here in the red at Stuttgart, where he ran the 200 meters. He ran 20.83, but James Butler in the blue on the outside was too strong for him as he won in 20.68. The first of 3 victories at this event, a sequence which was eventually ended in Ghent by Britain's Linford Christie. Christie himself hadn't been expected to compete often indoors, but he did, starting with 60 meters in the 3A's Championships, where he reduced his personal best from 6.84 to 6.63. But he was pipped by Lincoln Asquith by 1/100th of a second. Christie went on to win the 3A's title at 200 meters, a distance he also ran in the Britain-France match at the Kelvin Hall, Glasgow, where here he completed the sprint double by winning the 60 meters. 60 meters UK record and personal best 200 meters in Ghent then saw him prepared for European indoor success.
The others made a better start, but Christie is used to that. Christie coming on strong, and he's going to have to really go for it here, and he's made it, I think. A very close finish, but Christie gets the gold medal in 6.57. Once again, he had our hearts in our mouths because he left it late, but that superb Christie finish was enough to devastate the opposition yet again.
At 400 meters, the 1987 world champion Thomas Schoenleber smashed the indoor world record. He held that record with 45.41 in Vienna 2 years ago, and here in Sindelfingen on the 5th of February, he ran 45.05. More success for the 22-year-old East German. The following day in Glasgow, Butch Reynolds had a shot at the new record, and even though he was disqualified for stepping out of his lane, he was impressive.
And those long, long legs carrying him to a sensational time, I'm sure. 45.20. A fabulous time, which lifts him into second place on the all-time world list.
In the field events, there were more world records. Heike Drexler quickly put the disappointment of a bronze medal in Rome behind her by resuming her record-breaking ways. This 737-meter jump in Vienna was her 6th indoor improvement, and she went on to win the European indoor title in Budapest. But there was trauma in the high jump competition. A marvelous event won by Patrick Scherberg, but Carlo Tranhart was disqualified. He, however, had improved the world indoor record to 2 meters 42 in a jumping with music competition here in West Berlin. And finally, at those European indoors, there was a second gold medal for Britain at 800 meters.
Sharp it is who hits the front. Druppers tries to hold him off, but David Sharp is going to do it. Sharp wins the gold, Druppers the silver, and Kilbert the bronze. David Sharp, the world junior champion, takes the European indoor gold. And back live, looking somewhat more relaxed here at Cosford. David Sharp now about to line up in this 800 meters in the England-USA match. Fully recovered from not only the victory in Budapest, but the inevitable celebrations that followed with his great friend and training mate, Steve Cram, up in the northeast. Incidentally, we'd like to send our best wishes to Jimmy Headley, who coaches both Sharp and Cram. He's had a bit of a problem. He had a heart attack a few months ago and was ill again at the weekend. He's in hospital in South Shields, feeling fine, we gather, and watching the programme. So get well soon, Jimmy, and don't get too excited over the next 4 laps, for goodness sake. Here's the lineup then. The 2 Americans, Jack Armour, who was 3rd in their championships. He will wear number 3. Ray Brown, the US champion, after 3 second places, wears number 4. Eakin-Billy, partner Sharp. Eakin-Billy, who also ran in the final in Budapest when he finished in 6th place. Billy, remember, returning after a long absence caused by injury. So Sharp, who got a terrific reception from the crowd when he was introduced, one of the clutcher runners, chasing places later this year for our 800 metres, the likes of Elliott and McKean, Morrell, Sharp, Herbert, Billy. It's going to be some battle later in the year. Ray Brown, the American champion, has gone into the lead. David Sharp is 2nd. Eakin-Billy is 3rd. Jack Armour 4th.
Well, it's predictable that Brown would go to the front, but it's good to see that David's actually learning. Usually he would come off the back in this type of race and sort of try and make up so much ground on the last lap, but now he's using his brain and keeping on the real danger man here, I think, which is Brown up front pumping it out. But as you see, Eakin-Billy there, he's still hanging in the 3rd place, and he thinks that he can sort of make amends for his last week's performance in the European Championship.
Sharp beginning to unleash his attack now, to the delight of this full house Cosford crowd. And Eakin-Billy, looking very good, has moved through into 3rd, and the other American has been dropped off. 1:21 at the bell, and Sharp goes into the front. Eakin-Billy comes onto the shoulder and indeed clashes with Ray Brown, and it's England 1 and 2 on the back straight. Now then, can David Sharp hold on? Because Billy is going to apply the pressure here. Sharp senses it and stretches away. And whatever happens, it's a 1-2 for England. And it's victory for David Sharp. Billy was 2nd. Brown 3rd and Armour 4th. 1:48.37. And David Sharp, at the tender age of 20, is building a very impressive record indeed. The World Junior Champion, the European Indoor Champion, and now another assured and mature piece of running, Steve Ovett.
Yes, it's tactically he's actually becoming a lot better now, but as you saw there, a bit of punching and pushing and shoving with Eakin and Ray Brown on the sort of penultimate bend. But I think there you see this difference between the 2 athletes. Eakin was struggling a bit on that top bend, whereas I think David really was just waiting and pushing off the top bend into the finishing line there. He's really got his strength going very well at the moment. But 1 and 2 there really for the British team, and I think that's a good performance, really is.
That's great stuff from David Sharp, no longer just Steve Cram's training partner, but an international athlete now in his own right. That'll brought a smile to the face of his coach, Jimmy Headley. And Eakin-Billy, who was so disappointed after his run in the final in Budapest, doing pretty well there too. Another 1-2 for England. Let's keep the action going. Take a look at another of the invitational events. It's the women's 60-metre hurdles. No Hagger or Gunnell here, but a chance for others to show their international quality.
The favourite for this race will be Kerry Robin Millerchip out in lane 5. The full lineup from the inside: Debbie Baker of Derby Ladies, Samantha Farquharson of Croydon, Lynn Green of Hallamshire, Joanne Mulliner of Wolverhampton, Kerry Robin Millerchip, who won the Women's 3A's title in January, and Liz Wren of Bromley. So Kerry Robin Millerchip, international, retained her, or regained her indoor title this year. She'd previously won it 4 years ago. Will be the favourite with a personal best of 8. She's certainly off quickly. Joanne Mulliner, the heptathlete, inside her. Debbie Baker on this side. But right now it's Kerry Robin Millerchip from Mulliner, pressing her well. Robin Millerchip, though, wins it. Joanne Mulliner 2nd, and close for 3rd between Lynn Green of Hallamshire and Debbie Baker of Derby Ladies. And Kerry Robin Millerchip acknowledges the enthusiasm of the crowd. The winner, an unofficial time of 8.36. She's quickly away well, and I was also impressed with Joanne Mulliner, the heptathlete, inside her, showing a good sharp form over one of her 7 events, the hurdles, the 60 metres rather than the 100 they run outdoors. But as you can see here, it's Robin Millerchip all the way, Mulliner pressing her hard, and very close indeed between Green and Baker for 3rd place. So there's Kerry Robin Millichip signing autographs. Lots of youngsters here, all very enthusiastically following all the events. And there's the result. Kerry Robin Millichip, 8.36. Joanne Muller in second, 8.42. And Lynn Green got third place by 100th of a second from Debbie Baker. Here's the triple jump. John Herbert still leading. And here's Ray Kimball, the American champion. 34-year-old, but improving all the time. Consistently over 17 meters. 17:36 outdoors, 17:15. So he's a major threat to Herbert. Oh, and that's better. So far, he'd been below form, but that's going to stretch it and get close to Herbert, leading at 16 meters 76. Kimball started off with a couple of jumps in the mid-15s and then had a no jump, improved to 16:33, but this looks to be better and closer to Herbert. I think it's not going to be quite enough, but it'll take him past John Edwards into second place. And yes, indeed, it does. 16 meters 55 for Ray Kimball. Just one round to go in that competition, but John Herbert looks the prime candidate. And prime candidate here also in the high jump is Jeff Parsons. In fact, 2 meters 25, he's competing as a guest. Yes, Jeff Parsons confirming that he's the Britain's #1 by clearing 2 meters 25. We saw Dalton Grant earlier do 2:15. He went on to 2:20, but 2:25 proved to be too much for him, as this jump by Jeff Parsons was the best in the competition, better than any of the match competitors. He went on to try 2 meters 30, and 3 attempts, none of them really close. 2:30 would have equaled his British record, but he failed to achieve that. Nonetheless, Jeff Parsons, 2:25 was the best. And there's the result of the triple jump. John Herbert stayed in the lead with that 16 meters 76. Ray Kimball in second, 16:55. John Tillman third, 16:48. And a personal best for John Edwards, 16 meters 37 in fourth place. There's the high jump. Jeff Parsons, the guest, 2:25. Winning the match event, though, Dalton Grant for England, 2:20. From the two Americans, Patsgudso and Patterson, 2:20 and 2:15 respectively, with Holman just a token jump at 2 meters. And there's the score, with England closing the gap on the USA, just 3 points in it after 9 events.
And the next event, we hope, will bring victory for England. Linford Christie just being introduced to the crowd, and he runs in the 200 meters. And despite his defeat in Budapest at this distance of the weekend, he really fears no one over this distance, though I'm sure after such a punishing indoor campaign, Linford is relieved that John Regis has chosen to run the 400 meters relay. Regis, the Commonwealth record holder at 200 meters, a great rival, of course, of Linford's.
The way I see it basically is that me and Linford both are the best two in Great Britain, so we just go out and run against each other, basically.
Will there be any question at all of you avoiding each other in this Olympic year?
Oh, no. Basically, we both start off and we set out our own individual plans, and if we happen to clash, say, 5 times in the space of 5 months, then obviously we run against each other. We don't believe in avoiding each other, because we've got to run against each other to see basically who's the best.
John Regis talking about the battles ahead with Linford Christie, but for the moment, Linford Christie faces this lineup in this match 200 meters. Willie Caldwell of the United States, third in the American Championships in lane 1. Donovan Reed, who ran in Budapest, was disqualified, in fact, in one of the preliminary rounds in lane 2. Thomas Jefferson, who we've already seen running the 60 meters earlier, he is in lane 3. And Linford Christie, who took a bronze only, and he was as disappointed as anyone in Budapest in this event to follow his 60-meter gold, he is in lane 4. Linford Christie has a bit of a problem there. He called one of the officials over towards him. I think it could be the number. The athletes have to have a number attached to the side of their shorts, although in his case, if you pardon the expression, he's not wearing any. The Linford Christie speed suit. Very fashionable too. He seems to have a different colour for every day of the week. And Linford will settle again. That race in Budapest, the 200 meters final, we calculated was his 6th race in around 30 hours. So it's not really that surprising that he failed to capture that elusive double gold medal, which no one else in the history of those European Indoor Championships had ever achieved. I suppose people think that sprinters shouldn't get tired, unlike longer distance runners, because their races are so much shorter. But of course, it's not like that. There's tension and pressure, and running at speed takes a great deal out of your legs. Christie then in lane 4, running for England against the United States. And breaking from his blocks was Donovan Reid, drawn in lane 2, which will amuse him because in his last 10 indoor races, Reid has had lane 1, which is the dreaded lane, 4 times, lane 2 3 times, and lane 3 just once. He is beginning to feel that somebody up there has it in for him. The line draw is so crucial indoors, and particularly on the tight bends of an arena like Cosford, where really, if you get lane 1, well, you're almost beaten before the gun sounds. Fact which Mr. Caldwell, who has that lane, will have observed, I'm sure. But Linford Christie's in his favoured lane, lane 4. Away cleanly. Christie made a good start. The big man hates the bends, but he really turns on the power in the straights. He's being chased by Jefferson, and chased very hard as well. Christie will need to be at his best here to hold off Jefferson on the inside. The Americans coming at him. A great finish. Christie wins it. Jefferson second. Reid third, and Colwell fourth. 20.97 the time, so it's a new United Kingdom all-comers record for Linford Christie, lowering Addy Maffey's mark of 21:05 set in 1985. And Steve Ovett, Jefferson gave him just the competition he needed.
Yes, I think he felt the shadow on his shoulder almost all the way around that track, Alan, but 20.9 in his last race of a long indoor season that I don't think he ever thought he was going to have is a great performance from Linford. He really has shown character, I think, on a few occasions, and we can justifiably proud of the way he's handled the Americans here today, because coming off this bend, Jefferson was fighting like hell to get up to him, and you just look, Linford looks across at him in the last 10 metres or so as if to say, well, I've still got you here in my sights, so it's not much of a problem to me.
To the huge delight of the Cosford crowd then, Linford Christie is the champion, and that brings the curtain down on a generally great indoor season for him. Well, one of the stars of the indoor season, Tony Morrell, and the appearance in the relay of John Regis, still to look forward to here at Cosford. We're back after the break.
Welcome back to Cosford. What a match we've got on our hands in this Kodak Classic. England against the USA. Let's check the latest score. And there it is, 55 points all after 10 of the 14 events. Who knows, it might all be down to the last event, the 4x400 relay. The Americans, though, in general, have been a bit stronger in the field events. Let's take a check on the pole vault. And before they all started, we felt the points were going to go to the United States in this one.
It looks that way. Here's Doug Fraley of the USA. Those points didn't include the pole vault. And here's Fraley's third attempt at 550, and that's it. And that was the winning vault in the pole vault competition. Third attempt 550. His celebrated teammate Dave Kenworthy, second American Championships, went out having only cleared 520, but it was enough, and it was enough to bring maximum points to the Americans. Fraley, twice the American collegiate champion, over clear there. 23-year-old, he tried unsuccessfully for UK all-comers record at 566, but that was the victor. Fraley the winner at 5 meters 50, Kenworthy second, and third equal Ashurst and Stock.
The next race on the track, the 1,000 meters, and you're looking there at number 1, Tony Morrell. Tony Morel, who had a disappointment in Budapest, where he finished 4th, when many had expected him to win the gold medal over 800, which eventually, of course, went to David Sharp. He hasn't been very well lately. He's had tonsillitis, and indeed, I gather he's been told he's got to have his tonsils out. And again, the noise and atmosphere here, quite unprecedented in my experience. The crowd really have got behind all the athletes today in this England-USA match. The tickets were all sold 6 weeks ago. There's not a seat in the house. The long jump in progress at the moment, that's what the real crescendo of Raws was for. And the athletes having to wait for the noise to die down a little before they go to the line. In this 1,000 meters, the recent world best time, 2 minutes 16.62, set by Rob Druppers of Holland, beaten by David Sharp a week ago in Budapest. 5 laps of the track then, and out into the lead, the pacemaker Paul Herbert, who ran in the 600 meters in which he finished 2nd earlier in the meeting. Morel immediately into 2nd place. Number 2 here is Andy Myatt, the 2nd Englishman scoring in the match. And the 2 Americans, the white American is Mike Elliott, wearing number 4, and Butch Brown is the black American wearing number 3. 4 to go, and Herbert cutting out a good pace. Tony Morel in 2nd place, who's won this match twice before and prefers fields of this size. A year ago he scored his first ever victory over Peter Elliott, following another disappointment in the European Indoor Championships of that year, so perhaps he can repeat the dose again here in '88. Under 3 to go.
But a fairly fast first lap there, a 54.77. This really has been taken up very, very fast. They're obviously trying to break the UK all-comers record, or even better that. But as you see at the moment, Tony Morel, who had that very disappointing run in Budapest in the European Championships, I think he realised there that it was a slow old race and he got beaten in the sprint. So he's virtually said, right, we're going to pacemaker in here and we'll go for a good time. And that's exactly what he's doing.
2 laps to go then, and the time at 600 meters, 1 minute 22. Paul Herbert, the pacemaker, steps aside, and it's Morel out in front. The UK all-comers record, held by Peter Elliott, is 2 minutes 20.29. Morel leads. Butch Brown, who's twice been a finalist in the American Championships over 800 meters, is in 2nd. And 3rd is Andy Myatt at the bell. Morel will be lifted along over this final 150 meters by the furious noise of this Cosford crowd. Brown has moved into 2nd place, but they're chasing shadows, and the shadow belongs to Tony Morel. He has come back in fine style, and he is going to get that UK all-comers record. He's got it, 2:19.27, and he has shaved almost a second of Peter Elliott's previous all-comers best, and also taken 5 points for England in the match, and that is going to send us into the lead with very few events remaining in this England-USA International.
Well, he didn't look too happy at the finish there, Alan, but I think when he thinks about it after a few hours rest, I think he'd be pleased with that. I think he really did want to run well today. I think the determination was there right from the word go, and pushing all the way to the tape, and an all-comers record is the justifiable reward for that type of performance. It's great to see him running so well after coming back from tonsillitis, but I do think that perhaps when you train so hard, you are susceptible to these type of things, and Tony was just unfortunate to get that prior to the European Championships.
Well, things changed very quickly in this sport. Barely a week ago, Tony Morel was desperately disappointed in Budapest, and now there's a big smile on his face after another victory here at Cosford. And so England just inch into the lead, but still quite a lot of races to come. Great atmosphere building up behind me. I hope it's coming through to you all in your living rooms. We're going to keep the action going with the women's 300 meters now, and that means the return to the track of one of our most talented athletes, Bromley's Jennifer Stout.
Jennifer Stout from Bromley Ladies, who many expect to be our leading 200 and 400 metre runner this year, runs in the in-between distance of 300 metres. The full lineup: Linda Forsyth in lane 1, Suzanne Guise of Birchfield Harriers in lane 2, Angela Pigford from Gateshead in 3, Jennifer Stout of Bromley Ladies, the 22-year-old, runs in lane 4. The Great Britain record in this unusual event has been held by Sharon Danville since 1981, 37.46 seconds. Stout, in her first race of the winter, has been suggesting in her training that she's going to go really well here. Pigford on the inside, the northeast girl who took ill at the Women's 3A's Championships and therefore has something to prove, pushing her hard. But it's going to be the taller girl, Jennifer Stout, in the outside lane, who moves in, looking very, very strong indeed. A girl who's had a lot of injury problems and indeed a family bereavement, a lot of misfortune behind her in recent years, and really deserving a good 1988. And it looks as if it's up to a flying start, with certainly victory in this indoor 300 metres. Let's watch for the time as she ties up with Pigford approaching. Stout wins it in 38.14, with Angela Pigford in second place. Not perhaps as fast as she would have wanted, but it is her first race of the winter. And there's an awfully big difference, Steve, between what you do in training and what you do when it comes to the real competition.
That's right, but I think that really Jennifer did everything that she could have expected there. She looks a little bit shaky. I think running at speed a little bit faster than perhaps she's even been doing in training was taking its toll on the legs there, but she ran from gun to tape, and I think we've got to accept that these races, these particular type of races, Alan, where they're virtually domestic fields, are only used as a sort of a springboard for the summer season, and I think that Jennifer's got a lot to come in the summer, and that she can be well pleased with her performance here today. That's all it is. It's really just to use these races as a springboard.
Stout the winner then, Pigford second, and Guise third. And Jennifer Stout, who I'll never forget the moment in the Commonwealth Games in 1986, went down with a very serious hamstring injury which virtually wrote off the whole of the next year for her, and as I say, those family problems as well. And let's hope that 88 brings better fortune for her.
So the result, a good time for Jennifer Stout, 38.12, Pigford second, 38.56, and Suzanne Guise in third place. The invitation men's 600 metres, an all-domestic lineup, except for the man on the outside in blue, Reggie Davis of the USA, one of the world's best 400-metre hurdlers. Straight into the lead, too, a man of 48.9, tracked by one of Britain's best hurdlers, Martin Gillingham, wearing number 3, the 24-year-old from Shaftesbury Barnet. In the yellow, then, is Paul Herbert of Shaftesbury, who made such an impact at 800 metres last year. And into the lead goes, or just on the shoulder of the leader, number 1, Steve Bagley of GEC Avionics, twice the Midland 400-metre champion. Also out there, number 6, is Chris Sylvester of Birchfield. So it's Reggie Davis of the USA, tracked by Martin Gillingham on the inside, then number 1, Steve Bagley of GEC Avionics, and Paul Herbert in the yellow just coming up, with behind him Gareth Bakewell, who ran in our European junior team. So it's the American hurdler and the British hurdler, 1-2 at this 400 metres. Paul Herbert making his indoor debut, getting used to the boards, going back now to 4th place, as at the bell still Reggie Davis from Martin Gillingham, and a good time, 51.82, so they're getting close to a 1:18 time for 600 metres. Herbert coming up with 3rd place, but staggering a bit as Gillingham now takes the lead from Davis. Gillingham looking strong. Shaftesbury Barnet man, another Shaftesbury Barnet man is Paul Herbert in the yellow, coming into 3rd place behind Davis. Gillingham grimacing away, holding on there, and he's coming through for a fine victory. And Herbert just challenging and just gets up to beat Reggie Davis. So Martin Gillingham, a good time there, 1:18.87, and a fine victory. So, Steve, good strength here for a man who's a 400-metre hurdler.
Well, yes, I think the 600 metres equates quite well to 400-metre hurdle running anyway, and you saw there the top 2 men at 400-metre hurdles finished 1st and 3rd, but I think looking at the race, it was a fairly straightforward affair. Went through in a time that they usually go through in an 800-metre race, about 51 seconds, and then just kept it rhythm going. But a good run. Again, I think these two guys just using it as a sharpening up exercise for the summer, really, Peter.
And a personal best for Martin Gillingham, 1:18.86. Paul Herbert in 2nd, and Reggie Davis, the American, in third place.
So the stage is set for the perfect finale to what has been one of the most entertaining and exciting matches in this series between England and the USA. It's the 4x400 meters relay, and we arrive at this final event with the classic situation. The winners of this relay will win the match. It's as simple as that. We're just doing our last-minute calculations to see if the scores are as we had them, but one thing that is certain, with 5 points at stake for the winner of the relay, then, as I say, victory will go to the team that brings the baton home first. And I think this old hangar, which has seen great service over the years for British indoor athletics, first appearance in it today for this man, Greg Foster, receiving his prize for winning the invitation 60 metres hurdles, beating Tony Campbell, reversing the result between the two of them in the actual match race. But as I was going to say, I think the roof of this old hangar, which has had some problems anyway and had to be repaired earlier this year, might well be lifted off by the noise they'll make if England can win this relay. I have never known such a noisy and animated crowd. I think there's a lot of school children amongst the 5,000 ticket holders, and goodness me, are they making some noise. And as soon as the situation is announced over the public address system by Tony Ward, as the athletes are introduced and they know the vital importance of this match, then they will respond in terrific fashion, I'm sure.
Meanwhile, there's been an absolutely marvellous long jump competition. The crowd have actually been going berserk, I think, following it, because we've had some magnificent jumping by Barrington Williams, who we saw earlier in the 60 metres when the man's a marvel. He was up competing with the top American sprinters, and now he's in the long jump. He had a fantastic second round jump, which was a no jump, but measured at over 8 metres. He improved his personal best to 7.72 in the third, and here was his fourth round effort. And the crowd were giving him terrific support, well deserved, because that was a terrific jump. It moved into the lead in the competition. 7 metres 91, the best by a British athlete indoors for 22 years, since Lynn Davies set the British record at 7 metres 97. And this crowd are just loving it. This 32-year-old who's just arrived really in top class in international competition, 7.91. And well ahead of the American Ralph Spry, 7.68. Spry, in fact, improved to 7.82 in the fourth round. And we had a problem because John King had 4 no jumps, but he too came through and he did 7.66 in the fifth and another personal best of 7.75 in the last. The crowd roared Barrington Williams down the runway on the final 2 jumps. His last one, again, a no jump. It was measured at an incredible 8.15. The crowd loved it. It brought more points for Britain, 7-4. So it means that going into this final event, the relay, England, I should say, are leading, Alan, by 1 point. And as you said before, it's all to play for on this final event.
England 72, the United States 71 is the points position. So let's have a look at the lineups then for this crucial event, the men's 4x400 metre relay. For England, in the first leg, Gary Cadogan, Mark Thomas the second, Clarence Callender the third, and great to see John Regis, our 200 metre specialist, but certainly no mean performer over the longer distance, bringing up the anchor leg. There's the Americans, Chip Jenkins, who was second in the individual 400 earlier, Thomas Johnson, Willie Caldwell, and the winner of the individual 400, Ken Lowry. And if they're close at the final changeover, what a competitor for John Regis to face, Ken Lowry. But it's now the 2 opening leg runners, Gary Cadogan on the left for England, Chip Jenkins in the blue of the United States. And there's confirmation of the match score, 72-71. Victory in this 7th indoor international between England and the USA will go to the winners of this event. If support counts for anything, the England quartet should be inspired. It looks a very even battle. The American just edging it on the inside here. And Chip Jenkins will hand on when they come round again at the completion of that 400-meter first lap, I would think, with a marginal lead, unless Gary Cadogan can produce something special here. But the American is getting away from him. Cadogan tiring, and so is Jenkins, but the Americans crucially have the lead. The second leg, 46.95, the split for that first leg. Thomas Johnson for the United States. Mark Thomas, who was third in the individual 400 for England. It's a big American lead at the moment. And the crowd will need to find their voices again to lift England on here. They need lifting. Thomas against Johnson. The blue-vested American has a big lead, but Thomas is cutting it down with every stride. A fine run by Mark Thomas. He certainly reduced the gap. But the lead is still with the Americans. Willie Colwell takes over for them. Clarence Callender, an experienced and very talented relay runner for England. Now then, can he eat back that margin and bring England within sight of the lead for the final leg? Colwell running very well here. He's taken some of the steam out of the crowd, apart from anything else. A very strong opening 200 by him. Callender has to give it everything here. The American team urging their men on, and it's a big, big lead. And it looks as though the Americans are going to do it. Colwell hands on to Ken Lowry, and look at the size of that lead now as Regis takes over for the anchor leg for England. It would be one of the great runs of all time if he can reduce this gap. And he's going for it. Lowry, the winner of the individual 400, a specialist over the distance against the 200-meter man, John Regis. This for the match. Regis is tiring. It was a terrific first 200. Lowry is away from him. This strong 200-meter man, Regis, just can't reduce the gap sufficiently. And you'll feel the anticlimax from the crowd as the American crosses the line and they win the match. England takes second place in the relay and the match. The final score, the United States of America 76, England 74, and they're pleased with that. The Americans, the world's greatest 400-meter relay runners, almost irrespective of what kind of quartet they put out.
Well, John Regis really gave it a go, didn't he? He ran the first 200 meters of his leg in 21.2, and he still held on for a 45.9. And Mark Thomas ran a good leg, 46.8, but the 48.8s for the other two really didn't give us a chance.
So, Steve Ovett, the crowd didn't get the finish they wanted, but they have seen one of the best indoor internationals in the series.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that was a great race, even though it was predictable from the start. The Americans, as you say, Alan, the strongest 400-meter nation in the world, really had to pull all the stops out there. There's the quartet. Had to really do everything in their power to hold us off, and I think our four boys can be justifiably proud that trying as hard as they did. But let's give it credit to the Americans. When it came to the crunch, they produced the goods.
Steve, a lot of people say that indoor athletics is simply, you know, a hiccup, if you like, in the year. It's a way of breaking up the monotony of winter training, but you try telling any one of these spectators, and we hope the millions who watched on ITV today, because this was terrific entertainment in its own right.
Well, that's right. I think a good indoor match, the same as a good outdoor match, Alan, is always worth watching. What I don't like is poor both indoor and outdoor matches where the quality of performance is very low for one reason or another. I think that doesn't do the sport any good, and it doesn't do the entertainment factor and the crowds any good. So I think today we saw an excellent example of what true entertainment in sport can be.
And this match has given memories to savour for all the crowd here. A magnificent afternoon's entertainment.
As always, Jim Watt and Reg Guttridge. And there's the challenger, Tony Tubbs. Been a bit of criticism, obviously, about his weight, 238 pounds. So then Tubbs' career record then, he's only lost one of 25, and that was a very close one that ITV covered with Tim Witherspoon. And one judge actually gave a draw on that one, and he stopped 15.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming toward the ring, the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson.
So there he is, no dressing gown. The old throwback to the bare-knuckle fighter, unbeaten now in 33 fights, and he's stopped 29 of them. Fifth defense now, one against Trevor Berbick, of course, and then the unification against Tony Tucker. And he really is sweating profusely already, isn't he? He works out so hard in the dressing room. And I tell you, he's having a hard fight getting into the ring, it would look like, Tyson. I mean, the Japanese have made such a hero of him, and obviously they're expecting heroism from him, but it might not be necessary. On the other hand, Tubbs was picked by the Japanese promoters as a man who's liable to go a long way, if not the distance, in this fight. They didn't want a repeat of the George Foreman and Joe Roman fight that took place here back in '73 that only went one round, and they thought Tubbs had the durability. Takes it all in his stride, doesn't he, Tyson? Just another night's work for him. He gives that impression anyway, but there's no doubt that he's got a bit of nervousness in there somewhere, maybe on his own performance rather than worried about the opposition. And then when you see the tail of the tape, well, he's obviously got to give away a few years there, Tony Tubbs, and I can't believe that waist measurement of his. I think he's put on quite a bit since then. But he's got the advantage anyway of being 6'4" against 5'11".
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. 12 rounds for the heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing his boxing trunks and weighing 238 1/4 pounds with a professional record of 24 victories, 15 by knockout, and only one defeat. From Cincinnati, Ohio, he is the second-ranked heavyweight in the world and a former heavyweight champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Tony TNT Cole. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing the solid black trunks and weighing 216 1/4 pounds, from Catskill, New York, which is the hometown of the late great trainer of champions, Cus D'Amato. He brings a professional record of 33 victories without a loss, 29 KOs, including 25 KOs in 5 rounds or less, and 15 in the first round alone. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undisputed, the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson!
Well, a great reception for Tyson. I mean, they've almost thought it was the return of the old movie star Godzilla, the way they've treated this fellow here, and he's been totally overwhelmed by it.
Mike and Tony, you both received instructions earlier in the day, and therefore you know the rules. I wish you both an awful lot of luck now. Return to your corners to await the starting bell. Good luck.
So referee Arthur McCanty there, public could hear what he was saying. He wishes them both luck. They both know the rules, and certainly McCanty does. And I tell you, it's well, it's a happy night in many ways for my co-commentator here today, Jim Watt, because it was Arthur McCanty who refereed his contest when he won the championship of the world, and strange enough, when he lost it to Alex Aguelo, who was also here at ringside. So there you are. All the dignitaries are finished now, and the Muhammad Alis are at ringside, Sugar Ray Leonard's. It's a great event now. Are we to worry about the weight of Tony Tubbs or not? Because he's always been a porky-looking fighter. He started off at about 212 pounds when he turned pro, and he went up to 244 at one time when he lost to Witherspoon, the only defeat. But for a big man, he's got fast hands. It's just a question now whether the durability can stay in there with this absolute murderous puncher, Tyson. 15 in the first round. Tubbs is the WBA number 2, and this is for both the WBC and WBA championships, not for the IBF, as it's not over the 15-round course. And there's some silly talk by the IBF that they might strip Tyson. Well, they'd lose a bit of credibility with me if they do that. Jim, we've seen quite a bit of Tubbs. I mean, for a big man, he can move.
Yeah, Tubbs is a very smart boxer, very talented. He's the type of fighter to give Tyson trouble. And strangely enough, this is about the quietest first half minute of a fight we've seen Tyson in. Normally it really comes out bombing, but he seems to have settled down here. Maybe he realises this fight could go a few rounds. I don't know.
Well, whatever happens now, certainly I always got the impression that Tubbs was being sold a bit short. It's true he let himself down a few times, but you can't do more than keep winning, except for the Witherspoon one. But that was the first right hand now that's got in from Tyson now. Is this strong chin that we talk about of Tubbs going to be standing up to this sort of stuff? Well, remember that 2 others, Tony Tucker and Bone Crusher Smith, have stayed the course. Obviously Tubbs planned him. He's going to try and do a bit of outsmarting. I mean, that's his move. He may not wish to, well, he'd like to outpunch Tyson, but I think he's going to try and do it with being clever.
Yeah, I think he has to try to score at long range and just stop Tyson from working up close. It's pointless trying to trade power with Mike Tyson, but if he can pin him on the jab, he's landed a couple of jabs and a couple of nice left hooks already, Tubbs, and any time Tyson's got close, he's tied him up. Well, as Tubbs was saying, he's only as good as what he can hit.
Featuring the Pet Shop Boys. Wet, 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 Mel and Kim, Belinda Carlisle. T'Pau, Jermaine Stewart, Billy Ocean. Out of my dreams. 30 top chart hits with the #1 from Kylie Minogue. All on the hottest double album in town. Now that's what I call music. 11.
Lou Tennant's the name. I was getting nowhere on Candy's case. The chips were down, the place was battered. A French fry let something slip. I ordered a Tennant's Pilsner. The cool taste was heavens above. Then it clicked. It was an open and shut case. I was a star. I had a choice. Drink my Tennant's Pilsner or head for... It was close, but not that close. Tennant's Pilsner. It's good, but not that good.
Head and Shoulders. I didn't know you had dandruff. Shh. I don't.
Don't have dandruff, have great-looking hair.
In a world without colour, billiards would have us all snooping. No one would play the blues. Polly wouldn't look nearly as pretty. And there'd be no place for Crown. No one would paint a door sunflower yellow. Forget-me-not walls would never be remembered. And you'd never find a dressing room in Irish mist. Crown, because decorating isn't black and white.
So you get the usual whispering in the corner there by Kevin Rooney. And as I've often said, they have numbers that they work out for various punch routines, as it were. And instead of him saying left hook, right hook, etc., whatever they've practiced, he just gives them a number, and Tyson remembers them. That's Odell Hadley then working with Tubbs.
Second out, second out, second out. Round 2.
So into the second round, it's always a bit of a relief, Jim, to get that first one over, isn't it? The people getting their money's worth, and really they deserve it, because in yen it's about what, 100,000 yen to a ringside seat. I make that about 435 pounds. So they want something for their money. It's going to be the stalking routine, as always, with Mike Tyson. I think probably the Japanese, if not our viewers, Jim, are a bit surprised that Tubbs is as smart as he is, but for how long?
Yeah, well, Tubbs has a little bit of success with the jab, a very smart jab. He's pulling his head out of distance, and he's using his reach advantage. We haven't really seen Tyson. As I say, this is about as quiet as we've seen Tyson start, but I know that won't last long.
He's working well inside. If you remember early on, Tyson's infighting wasn't considered that great, but he's looking good doing that. Watch for him bringing, there it is, bringing the uppercut there. I was a big fan of Tubbs when he was an amateur. He was officially the world #2 behind Teofilio Stevenson of Cuba. And it was just a pity that he finished up with, well, almost the contours of a channel swimmer in recent years. But he appears to have buckled down quite a bit now. Anyway, so now he's going to use that 22 pounds advantage, Jim, isn't he, laying on a bit like that?
Yeah, but I thought he was doing better at long range. He was making Tyson miss, and his own left hands were pretty accurate.
See, Tyson, the destroyer, has got to work on this fellow all the time, because it may not be one punch that would do it, as he did when he turned Larry Holmes over. The one punch started the sort of landslide. Oh, what's a good left-hand punch right through Tyson's guard, that went. He's getting shot. His body's broken up on him, Jim, and it's just as well he missed him with that one. It was amazing. We saw it happening, but it still came as a surprise. There was a big duel. What happened there, Jim?
There was a punch inside, Reg, which shook him up badly, but didn't seem to have an effect. But then as the referee broke him up, he keeled over, his legs had gone. It was a short little punch inside, tremendous little punch. Hopefully we'll see it on replay, but it didn't have an instant effect, but boy, it was a cracker.
Yeah, watch his whole body breaking up there. And you really thought, well, he's going to totter a bit, but he'll be okay. I mean, remember this, he's only ever taken one brief count in his life early on and got up to win Tubbs. But when this fellow hits them, they stay hit. There's no doubt about it in the second round. And the doctors are saying, you stay there until we tell you to get up. And if it was body punches, Jim, then he'll be okay.
No, it was a head punch. There was a cracking little hook landed as they were up close, and when the referee pushed them apart, you could see Tubbs' legs had gone. I see there's blood coming from his right eye as well at the moment. But as the referee broke them up, you could see his legs weren't working properly.
Now, let's have another look at that now. He had his back to our commentary position there. That was the left hook then that started the roll, and that was when he couldn't control his legs there. We thought it was a body punch at first, but what a punch that must have been to knock that big man over.
See, I think actually there was a punch before that actually happened. There was a punch when they were inside. See, that one's shaking him badly.
Just as well that one, it would have torn his head from his shoulders. And here's another angle of it, Jim. As you say, the body punch had already come in before this, hadn't it? I mean, he really did lose total control there, as if he was walking on cotton wool. Well, obvious recovery there, but nobody's more surprised than him. And I think the crowd, the way he went, as you say, he also got cut in that exchange. Well, not exchange. I mean, a fusillade of punches that Tyson coming in, and it's quite badly cut too. So now they're trying to, well, not clear the ring, but get into an interview situation with my colleague there. Larry Merchant is trying to get the champ.
Tony Tubbs went right at you and tested you, and you were a little bit too strong for him, but he was effective until you hurt him.
Well, he was effective because I planned it that way. I was looking for the opening, but I planned for him to run. And then when I saw he came such a easy target to hit, I was just planning and planning. And he had his hands up very high. I was surprised that he had his hands up so high. And so I started hitting to the body and bringing it up in the middle. And then as soon as he put his hands out, I saw his eyes, and I aimed right for his eyes.
He said that nobody had ever gone to your body before, and he wanted to try you there. He did hit you a few blows there. Did he hurt you at all, distract you even?
Not at all. My mission is to go and destroy and not to let anything get involved. You get punched, you get hurt. I refuse to be hurt, knocked down, and knocked out. I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
What was your response to the audience here, which is kind of quiet compared to the crowds in America? Did you hear anything or not?
Not at all, not at all. I knew there were people scratching me when I was coming through, but I had such an intense tunnel vision. My objective was just to get in there and get my hands on my opponent.
When he didn't come out moving and jabbing and doing those kind of things, what was your first thought about that?
Well, I said, well, this is going to be a complicated fight. It's going to be a fight. He came to fight. And, you know, and for the last moment, I prepared for him to just come out swinging because Kevin said he's going to come out and try to rough you.
Did he at all try to rough you up?
Absolutely. I felt the tip of his glove around my eye. I don't know if it was the thumb, but in fighting, you're in a hurt business. You can't complain.
When you see a man come out and he's obviously that out of shape and heavy, does that lull you in any way in the first round?
Not at all, not at all. That was his prerogative to come out the way he did. My job is to finish him off. You see, if he would have went 10 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds, then someone could say something critical towards my performance. But he came out a tough performance. He didn't come like a guy that just came to pick up a payday. He got hit with a solid shot. It looked like it was above the eye, but I tried hitting exactly in the eye. And he took a great shot and he went down. But if he would have lasted 6 or 7 rounds and he was out of shape, then you could criticize me. But he came to fight, and if anybody could criticize that he was out of shape, I did what's supposed to have been done to a person that was out of shape. I got rid of him quick.
Well, not the kind of performance that we've come to expect from Mike Tyson, but certainly he's as deadly as ever. Jim?
Well, I think that was the most controlled performance I've seen from Mike Tyson. Usually we see him come out bombing in the first round, but it was as though he knew he couldn't do that with Tubbs. Tubbs is a smart boxer, and in the first round he gave Tyson troubles. But he came out in the second round, and for some reason he went into punching range with Tyson, and instead of tying him up, he tried to punch it out with him. And just before the end came, Tyson landed a lovely short punch inside, which sent Tubbs' legs. They broke away. When they waved him back in again, I think he was already gone at that point, and the finishing punch put him over. But I think Tubbs must be sitting now saying, why did I move into punching range and not grab hold of him? Why did I punch it out after a successful first round?
Well, Jim, thank you very much indeed. The next time that we shall see Mike Tyson in action will be towards the end of June when he takes on Michael Spinks for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Of course, Michael Spinks still thinks he is a world champion. That'll resolve that issue, certainly. We'll leave you from the Big Egg here in Tokyo, the Tokyo Dome, with that final knockout. His record still unblemished. From all of us, goodbye.
He's going to use that 22 pounds advantage, Jim, isn't he, laying on a bit like that?
Yeah, but I thought he was doing better at long range. He was making Tyson miss, and his own left hands were pretty accurate.
See, Tyson, the destroyer, has got to work on this fellow all the time, because it may not be one punch that would do it, as he did when he turned Larry Holmes over. The one punch started the sort of landslide. Oh, what's a good left-hand punch right through Tyson's guard, that went. He's getting shot. His body's broken up on him, Jim, and it's just as well he missed him with that one.
Norway. Bronze medal in Calgary from the team event. And that would have been disappointed for Norway. They haven't had a great season, in fact. They've got the co-leader at the moment on distance, but Ulaga still out with points. Now, Kurum looked very happy with that. Looks absolutely delighted. It's 164 meters, in fact. Here's one of the Ilipudi brothers. This is Hikla. His brother Tuomo got a team gold medal. There he is down the hill. And, well, the time will tell you. He's got to be up there for 6 seconds if he's going to get into the big jumps. That was, in fact, 129 meters for Ilipuli. Now the great Andy Felder. And this is a man who is the reigning world champion at ski jumping and the reigning world champion at ski flying. He jumped 191 meters. Not a world record. 193 is the longest ever flown, and that's Opas of Norway. But look at the technique. Oh, has Austria written all over it. But that's not as long, 5.22 seconds, and he's only done 147 meters. A little bit disappointing, as he was on the 90-meter hill in Calgary, where he finished 6th. Andy Felder. Now, translated into points, Ulaga, who had the same distance as Fijistoll, is in the lead, 182.5 to 181. Then Palmer, Newconen down in 4th place, a big surprise because he was in such good form. But such is the standard of flying here as the weather is improving, so they're going to have to move the ramp down again. Again, reducing takeoff speed. Again, it's a safety factor. The weather conditions had certainly improved when they took their second round. Here's Ulaga, the leader, and it's a fascinating competition that he's having with Fijistoll rather than Newconen. Ulaga from Ljubljana, a winner at Innsbruck in January '87, and establishing quite a reputation for himself. And this is another big jump. Superb form, and comes in with a bit of a thump, but it's a safe landing. And you can see from the time there, he's delighted. It's 173 meters, and that's a good lead. Lovely form. All the rules of ski jumping apply. Steadiness, calmness, poise in the air, parallel skis, chin leaning over those skis, and then the judge is looking for a soft landing. Now the hill has flattened out, and he comes in both feet together, but it's a safe landing. So the move was for Fijistol, who'd matched Ulaga in the first round on distance, but was behind on points. Another jump like that 178-meter jump would put him in the lead. Fijistol following Ulaga's 173-meter jump. Conditions now very much better. Terrific extension at takeoff. Look how he leans into those skis very early on, and look how long he is. In fact, he's out-jumped Ulaga. And since distance is more important than points, if he's got a couple of meters on him, he'll take the lead. It is indeed 176 meters, and the lead has changed. It's in the hands of Ole Gunnar Fijistol, the 28-year-old Norwegian. 178 and 176. Remember, it's the two best jumps that count out of three. That's a big lead. And so we move on to the third round, with Fijistol having taken the lead at the end of the second round from Ulaga, and Newkonen has moved into third. So he's in the medals. Here's young Werner Schuster of Austria. Brave jumping. Lovely flight. Very safe indeed. And the time that he's in the air gives you an idea of his distance, about 160 meters. All these Austrians taught the dynamics and the style. It really is copybook stuff. And he's got very consistent form. It's 162 meters again. Gluhosh of Czechoslovakia, we've seen a fair bit of him around this season on the Four Hills competition and in Calgary. 5th in the last World Championships of ski flying, but only 14th on the 70-meter hill in Calgary. Hands flapping about a bit. He really was flapping all the way down, Gluhosh. I think he's had his best jump in the competition, though, in the third round. Just watch that right hand. Yes, there it is. He's 145, 149, and now 163 for Gluhosh. I'm surprised at him shaking. Here's Schilly of West Germany. 130, 145, but conditions improving. Although they've moved the ramp down, that in-run is getting faster. Pulls himself round from a slight twist to the right, and I think he's had his best jump of the three. 149 meters for Schilly. Now, back to Ulaga. Can he pull back that lead? Primož Ulaga, who set the hill record in practice of 95 meters on the 70-meter hill in Sarajevo, his hometown, where he was expected to do so well in those Olympic Games. It's long again. He's flying well, clattered in, got the tail of the skis down, then thumped in hard, but he's safe and very jubilant about that. Ulaga has really put the challenge on to Fijistol and to Newkonen again. He really is reaching out into space. This is a magnificent jump. It's nearly 180 meters. Watch the clock, and he just comes in there, short of 6 seconds, but Ulaga back in the lead, 179 meters. Look at that series that he's had. Astonishing, and the news has got around to Fijistol. He's got one jumper in front of him. Fijistol has to wait for Zupan to jump, and Zupan's done well. Another Yugoslav, how much they've improved as a team this year. The tension waiting for the hill to come up at you. Little bit vertical, but it's good. It's another jump of in the middle 160 meters. That's nearly the length of 2 football pitches. Now for Fijistow. Fijistow knows that he's got to jump 180 meters to be certain of winning. Cool, calm and collected. The Norwegians haven't had a great season, and this would restore so much credit to them. The most experienced man in the field. Goes for it. It's good attack at takeoff. Really leaning forward. Oh, it's long, it's long, it's long, it's very long. And I think he may have done enough. Look at that. 5.98 for Fijistow of Norway. And it was a superb competitive jump, and the crowd realized that. And I think he's done enough, and he thinks so too. Fijistow again outjumps the hill. He was the best in practice. He deserves the title. It's absolute superb form that he's showing there. Look at that. Such courage, and it's 181 meters to take the lead back from Ulaga. Delighted. 178, 176, 181. That's remarkable. Newcomen still to come, but really he'd have to jump so very far to win it that it's almost out of reach. Pavel Ploch, silver medalist in Calgary on the 70-meter hill. Little bit disappointing because at 24, he's only 5'6". This sports coach from Liberec was third in the World Ski Flying Championships in '85 and second in 1983 when he was only 19. Oh, comes in fairly firmly. Not far enough to affect the medal places, but good to see him flying well again. And Ploch has done 172 meters. And Matti Newkonen moves out, knowing that this lead is beyond his reach, but he could get himself a bronze medal here. And he's had a couple of bronzes, as well as being the World Ski Flying Champion. He recognizes better than anyone that there are 1 or 2 great ski jumpers who specialize in flying, and he's seen 2 of them today. Great form, he's hanging on, it's nice and long. It's not going to affect gold and silver, but my word, have you ever seen anyone jump that far as safely? He really is in perfect control all the way, and he's just jumped 180 meters just to reconfirm that he's still someone to be reckoned with in any form of jumping. 180 meters. Only Fijistow has jumped further, and that confirms his bronze medal. He can't make up in points on Ulaga, but it does make certain of the bronze medal for him. Newkonen still in fine form and not giving world titles away very easily. So the medalists just gathering. And here's young Gunnar Strana, the last of the biggest jumpers, really. 166 meters, 156 meters. Young Austrian, and it's the Austrians as well as the Norwegians that are trying to restore some real dynamic style and distance to their team. And he certainly hasn't let them down today. In he comes again, just over, well, on about 170 meters, so Strana's had a good competition. Good enough to finish 5th or 6th, something like that. Strana's jumped 169 meters. And the weather conditions here in Oberstdorf improved right on the last day and enabled these World Championships to take place. And what a championships they turned out to be. Strana will finish 5th with that jump. And who would have thought that Matti Newkonen would only finish 3rd? But they've seen a remarkable athlete there in Ole Gunnar Fijistow of Norway. The whole of Norway will be delighted. They'll celebrate that. Fijistow wins the World Championship from Ulaga, Newkonen in 3rd. The others, well, also runs compared to those points. But a great day for Norway and for Fijistow.
Fijistow, the world champion then. My goodness, that ski flying is some scene. His opponent, though, was being kept calm, warm and relaxed, pumped up only by the quiet confidence of those around him.
He feels fine. Number 1. Here to stay, sir. Here to stay.
Now, when they met the first time, it was in the relatively subdued atmosphere of the Grand Hall at the Wembley Conference Centre. That was a help to Vaca. Last night, the boxers were making their way into the raucous atmosphere of the Wembley Arena, a noisy 8,000 crowd, definitely to Hannigan's advantage. Continental Airlines, the fight sponsors. Tremendous reception for Hannigan, the challenger. At ringside, Harry Carpenter.
Lloyd Hannigan, the challenger tonight, comes into the Wembley Arena ring to an almighty cheer from this packed crowd here. Some 8,000 to 9,000 people packing Wembley Arena. And they're hoping it's going to be Hannigan's night. Tough-looking Mexican, the champion Jorge Vaca, returns to London for big money this time, which has tempted him back for his first defence of the title against the man from whom he took it in such controversial circumstances last year. And Hannigan looks cool and confident, and his mental attitude to this fight is certainly a lot better than it was in October. It's a big night for Hannigan, big test for him. He'll be 28 next month. Can he get his title back? And Vaca came over and made some sort of aggressive move towards him. And Hannigan, I won't say punched him off. So no anthems tonight, and the two come face to face. Although we've already had that with that little aggressive move by Vaca towards Hannigan's corner. 12 rounds for the WBC title. Will Hannigan's hands stand up to him? Joe Cortez from New Jersey, the referee, keeps them apart until the bell. Who's waiting for who? Their fight ended in the 8th round last time when there was an accidental clash of heads. And Vaca was very, very badly cut indeed on his right eye. Will that eye stand up to what punishment it may get tonight? Will Hannigan's right hand stand up to what he hopes to do? Vaca's come in very, very aggressively. Lively start indeed to this world title fight. Almost as though the pair of them know that it won't go all the way. Vaca looks strong, he looks big. In fact, Hannigan is the heavier man, by just a fraction. The Mexican's face already reddened. Hannigan's left hook gets home, high to the head. And And Hannigan looks a much sharper fighter tonight than he did in October, when he was beset with domestic and personal problems. Hannigan looks much more like the man who put Gene Hatcher away in Marbella. He really does. And Vacca's looking a little disturbed in these exchanges. And he's bleeding. Vacca is cut in the first round. His right eye went last time. And he's cut again. And he is very disturbed, and it's near the right eye again. It's probably the same cut. He had more than 16 stitches put in it last time. And there's trouble there already, the blood running down the inside of the side of his nose. Coming to the end of the first. And that wasn't done with a butt. Good punch from Vacca. And Vacca's almost weeping with frustration. He goes back to the corner. He feels the blood running down his face. And they go to work to try and staunch the flow of blood. The referee's in there having a look at it. So drama in the first 3 minutes. And they're going to have to do desperate work on that eye. But if that is the old cut, he's got trouble, because that old cut was a really terrible explosion of a cut that went in several directions. So Vacca's going to have to come out so early in the fight, trying to protect the cut. Well, it certainly wasn't done with a butt, and it's difficult to say which punch did it, but there were some furious exchanges in that first round, and about a minute from the end of the round, Vacca came out pawing at the eye. So Hannigan literally draws first blood. And this is going to be an explosive fight. Hannigan looks a totally different fighter tonight. Lowered his head a bit there when he went in, Hannigan. Just be careful. It was the accidental butt that caused his downfall last time. Good punch from Vacca. Who's going to be the first to drop? Furious exchanges. Vacca's eye beginning to bleed again. Putting Hannigan under some pressure here. Remember, Hannigan has got a bad right hand. He's got chips of bone floating around in the right hand. It hurts him when he hits with it. He might have to rely on the left hook. And the blood runs down the nose of the champion from Mexico, Jorge Vacca. Absolutely going all out to get this over fast. Letting the punches go, bad hands or no bad hands, as he said he would. So this WBC Welterweight Championship fight, which is sponsored by Continental Airlines, has opened in sensational fashion. Hannigan wide open, taking punches to the head. Vacca Vaca, for the first time in his life, has big money, and he's determined not to let this title go if he can help it. And Mr. Cortez, the referee, has to break him up at the bell. Hannigan already breathing hard. He's put a lot of work into the first 2 rounds. He's slung a lot of punches. Hannigan's 33rd professional fight tonight. Just that one defeat on his record, the one last time against Vaca. Here's a sample of Hannigan's work in the second round. Remember, his right hand is in no shape, really. He gets a twinge, he says, every time he throws it, but he threw it well enough there, and he rocked Vaca's head with it. From our overhead camera, dramatic view, another right from Hannigan there. Fierce exchanges all through these first 2 rounds, and look how close the heads are coming. Hannigan smeared in grease. Vaca really has got the face of a fighter. It's marked and scarred, pitted, but he's a tough fighter. 28 years old. Hannigan will be 28 next month. Hannigan's 5th World Championship fight in the past 18 months. 6th World Championship fight, rather. Marshall, a short right to the head from Hannigan. Furious exchanges. Good jolting left hand shot out by Vaca. These two testing each other to the full. Hannigan is remorseless tonight. He's a totally different fighter than October. And this crowd singing their appreciation of him. Punches, it's Vaca's trapped on the ropes. The Mexican's going to have to fight his way off. Hannigan just throwing everything in. Quite extraordinary. If ever you've seen a man determined to get his title back, this is it. Trying to find one swinging punch with which to drop his man, and he can't quite do it. Vaca's been trapped on these ropes now for nearly a minute. He's got him! He's got him over. He had to go. Remorseless attack. And Hannigan got him in round 3, and he's not going to beat the count. He's hurt. He's hurt. And he's out. Round 3. And Hannigan has collapsed in absolute exaltation. He's the champion again, and they're having to lift him off the floor. I think he's fainted with sheer excitement. He can't believe it. Have you ever seen such scenes? Hannigan is champion again, and he's jumping on the ropes above me here. He's gone delirious with joy. He said he'd do it, and do it he has with one swarming, remorseless attack under which the Mexican had to go. And Hannigan's hat that he's donned says no mercy, and no mercy he showed to Vaca. What a celebration of success. Never mind the hand trouble. Never mind the problems last time. Hannigan is back. And Hannigan is champion of the world again. That is one of the most dramatic victories we've seen in a British ring for a long time. He set up that vicious, non-stop, two-fisted attack with Vaca backed up against the ropes, and he wasn't going to let him go until Vaca dropped at last and couldn't get up.
I'm back.
On the ground. Lloyd, congratulations. Well, that was a different Lloyd tonight from the one in October, right?
Yes, Harry. In October, I had so much problem, you know. I had hand problem, I have love problem. I had also a problem, Harry, you know. And things wasn't going right for me in the gym. I was, you know, to be honest, when I came up from America, I was really mentally tired, you know, because I wasn't trained properly in the gym out there. Not because I didn't want to, I tried, but I couldn't get it together because my hand was giving me a problem. So I was really disillusioned with it out there, and I was having a go at Bobby, and you know the story between me and Bobby. I'm always sacking him and all sorts of things, and because everything was going wrong for me out there, so I decided to have a break in Jamaica, and I was out there in the sun, and it was relaxing because over in England, most everyone know me wherever I go, and the media and everything was getting to me a bit. So I went out there, and people didn't really pay me much attention, although they know who I am, so I can go relax myself. And I was doing running and training out there, Harry, and this time I had no love problem, and this time everything was okay.
The only person who had problems tonight was Vaca, right?
Yeah, you know, because you know, for the first couple of rounds, Harry, I decided to say, be smart, Lloyd, you know, push him back a bit, see how it goes, move away, see what he had. Then I realized he was throwing some punches, and there was coming there, but there was no power in it. I realized I could take his shot, I was stronger than him. So I decided to say, hey, let me push him on the ropes and see what he can do, because last time he had me on the ropes and he was punching away. I was inviting to punch and he couldn't do nothing. So this time I decided to change it round, put him on the rope and work away. So I was working to orthodox, then to southpaw. He couldn't figure me out. So I was hit him and hit him to the head, then all of a sudden I changed it to the body, and because he had his hand like this, I hit him straight into the solar plex with one right hand, right uppercut. And that was it.
You cut his eye in the first round. That must have given you encouragement.
It gave me encouragement, Harry, but it's also dangerous because he knows he's cut, and he knows he's going to go all out to get me because, hey, I'm cut. It's probably my eye like last time, so he's going to be more determined. He's not going to put him off because he knows hey, to go 12 rounds with a cut eye is dangerous. He's going to try and knock me out or whatever.
Now let's show the closing moments again, because you tracked him on the ropes for about a minute here, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you poured everything in.
Yeah, I poured everything in, Harry. I realized, look, he was throwing his punches, he was missing. And I decided to stick to him,
there you go,
open it up, bob and weave, like I've been practicing in the gym. All the punches he was doing, you see. I was coming back with right hook, left hook, working on the ropes, keep him pinned, keep throwing the punches, and right to the head. And then I'm going to come back down to the body, not just keep working him to the head because he's going to get used to that. And I said, he's going to bring his hand up to the head and to the right to the body, and that was it. We've been practicing these things in the punches.
Those right hands, were they hurting you?
Well, slightly, Harry, slightly, but I just had to put all my energy and my force into it because this fight was for me, you know, all my other fights was for my kids, my family, my loved one, and I decided, hey, this one is for me because Vaca didn't beat me. If someone Vaca can come in the ring and claim that he beat me, I might as well retire, Harry, because you know I can't let someone like Vaca beat me because I mean I'm a better fighter. He's a good fighter, but I'm a better fiher.
It was a wonderful way to get the title back, and your excitement at the end. I mean, you went delirious.
Yes, Harry, because this one was for me. You know, all the other fights was for other people, and this one was for me. And the way I lost the fight, a lot of pressure was on me. You know, a lot of pressure was on me because if I had lose, I mean that would have been the end of me. I would have packed it in. The press would have killed me tomorrow. And I can't let Fleet Street have this way with me. So
as it is, they're going to love you.
Well, you know, sometimes they write some unfair things about me, but I love them still. You know, they see me and they talk to me, and I say hi to them. And tomorrow they're going to write something about me. But I hope after tonight they realise You know, I might have children. It's not I'm going to have children, so don't crucify me for that. Judge me as a fighter, because that's what I am. I'm a fighter.
You proved that tonight. Terrific performance.
Thank you very much, Harry. I love you.
Thank you, Lord.
So Lloyd Hannigan back where he belongs, WBC welterweight champion of the world.
Stockholm International Athletics.
Hello from Sweden, where tennis is the name of the game today, after Edberg's fine win at Wimbledon yesterday. But athletics remains the national tradition, although the Swedes at the moment are producing tennis players and not athletes. Nevertheless, the Stockholm Stadium, where the Olympic Games of 1912 took place, still attracts the world's top performers and still has the sold-out sign-up. And one of the main attractions is the appearance at 1,500 metres of the multi-world record holder, Saïd Ouita of Morocco. A number of Britons are taking part, including Scotland's Tom McKean, twice a European Cup winner at 800 metres, and Mike Hill, who broke the British javelin record here last year. Our first event, the women's 200 metres, the commentator, Ron Pickering.
That's the lineup for the women's 200 metres, with Simone Jacobs going on the inside, then Paula Dunn. Kirsty Emelman is there, Onyali of Nigeria, who's been sprinting well, and Ogun Koya of Nigeria. Now, Paula Dunn has run sensationally, I must say, and has improved her best already to 22.8, running against this sort of opposition. And Simone Jacobs, if she can do the same tonight, she'll be delighted, the girl from Reading. There's Paula, 23, from Stretford AC, coached by Jim Harris, and what a good job he's done this winter, toughened her up altogether. 2.54 on Yali, and there's Kirsty Emelman, better known, of course, as a 400-metre runner. Tremendous, one of the powerhouse runners for the East German squad. And Ogun Koya, who we first saw as the world junior champion in '86, and she was very impressive there, now at Mississippi State University. Semi-finalist in the '87 World Championships, but she has a very bright future indeed. 22,000 here in the 1912 Olympic Stadium, bathed in very warm sunshine. Glorious evening, but a little difficult to see right over on the far side of the track. Simone Jacobs, then Paula Dunn, Kirsty Emelman, Mary Onyali, and Falita Ogun Koya. And Paula has gone off very well indeed. Look at this, she's having a great run. She's gone past Emelman and made her look as though she was sleeping. Paula Dunn has got extremely well. Onyali is up there. Onyali leading slightly, but Paula coming through a little bit. Oh, just adjusting the strap of her vest there and coming through to take this. This is going to be a very good run by Paula Dunn. Look at this as he yarded it on the line. Paula Dunn and this stop. 22.79, she's got another lifetime best. No wonder the smile is a big one. Paula Dunn coming through there, overtaking Mary Onyali of Nigeria in the last few strides, and then Ogun Koya was in third, and I think Simone Jacobs gets fourth, so Emelman run out of it, the East German giant. Well, look at this piece of running here from Paula Dunn. It really is aggressive, punching skywards, lifting her knees high, getting past Onyali. And the girl in the green shorts on this side, Ogun Koya, making up third. And that's a terrific run. Another lifetime best, 22.79 for Paula Dunn. Ulf Timmerman, the new world record holder in the shot. Conditions absolutely perfect. And he's about a metre ahead of the rest of the opposition. He's got a couple of big checks up there, Makura and Sula. But really is way out in front. Fourth round. Strapped knees. Hikes it away. Oh, and bunches it over 21 metres again. Stretching just over 21 metres. He's done 23.06 for his new world record, incidentally, but he really is powering his way to head the world rankings and making Seoul Olympic gold look very probable. That's the result of the shot. Timmerman wins with 21.48 from Machuro, Czechoslovakia on 1990, Todorova on 1962.
lineup for the women's 100 metres. Nelly Koeman, the world indoor champion in lane 1. Aneva of Bulgaria, brilliant sprinter in lane number 2. Dreschler of East Germany, brilliant long jumper too, but also number 2 in the world at 100 metres this year. Billy of France doesn't go, by the way, and Wallin of Sweden has moved into lane 5, and Muller of Sweden, who was in lane 7 on the draw, moves into lane number 6. This is a fascinating race. There's Nelly Koeman, born in Suriname, 4 times the European indoor champion and the world indoor champion, but at her best over 60 metres rather than 100 metres. That's Daneva of Bulgaria, 26 now. Last year's American indoor champion, and there's the great Heike Dreschler. Number 2 in the world this year, a time she set 2 nights ago in Oslo at 10.91. And the Swedish girls, both veterans now, Wallin, now 30, runs in lane number 5, and Muller of Sweden right on the outside, 4.29, you haven't seen yet. That's Muller. The stadium very still, there's very little wind. The sun's sinking just below the rim of this Olympic arena where the games took place in 1912. The women's 100 metres. Where they go first time. Koeman didn't get a usual good start, and it's Koeman on the far side of Neva, and here comes Dreschler, and it's Dreschler by yards. Dreschler storms through to win. Koeman second, and Neva third. 1, 2, 3, and Dreschler another fine run indeed. 10.97, not quite as fast as she was in Oslo, but inside 11 seconds, and she won going away. She is a superb athlete. Nelly Koeman, an explosive starter, didn't get such a good start this time, but still beat Duneva. So 3 of the best sprinters in Europe there in action. What a contrast. Dreschler so tall, 6 feet. Koeman only 5 feet 4. Koeman not so well away. The starting point is her hallmark. She really is brilliant off the blocks, but not this time. And Dreschler comes powering away. Koeman, though, well into her running. She's not totally fit yet, saving herself for later in the season. Dreschler wins, Koeman in second place, and Duneva third.
The women's 1,500 metres. This is the race in which Yvonne Murray opens her season. She wears 2.76, Yvonne Murray. 2 good Romanians in this. 2.81, Constantine, formerly Junki Hartu, and Kovac, who wears 3.31. And they're in second and third at the moment. And that looks like a pacemaker that's gone out it's Desiree Deleu, 3.32, and she's not anxious to take up the running. And then 3.61 is Ella Kovac, originally given 3.31, but actually she's wearing 3.61. Yvonne Murray, 2.76, and she's just being overtaken by one of the Swedish girls there, Evelo. But Yvonne Murray knows that she's got strong opposition behind her at the moment, as well as in front, because there are 2 good East Germans here. Andrea Harman Langer, that is, and Hildegard Korner. Harman wears 22, Korner wears 2.70. Harman, number 2 in the world at the moment. .69.45, so it's fairly steady pace as Desiree Deleu of Holland continues to lead from Marlene Evelo of Sweden. Then we've got Yvonne Murray tucked in. Behind her, trailing her, are the 2 East Germans, and on her left are the 2 Romanians.
Interesting, Ron, that here, for once, we haven't got a pacemaker, so we've got a tactical race, but it'll be all the more interesting for that. Because, as we said the other night, it does seem to me that in this day and age, a lot of the pacemakers are absolutely superfluous.
Indeed, and I just wonder what Yvonne Murray thinks about that, because her first race of the season, she wanted to test herself. Almost certainly she's done a lot of mileage, therefore she's got strength, but has she got finishing pace? And she's notably a front runner. She really is. And I think Hildegard Horner has gone right up onto her shoulder. Hildegard Korner, who was silver medalist in the 1987 World Championships. So Yvonne Murray knows exactly what she has to do. and is tucked in third. 23-year-old from Edinburgh AC, had such a good 86 season, dropped off a little in 87, was disappointed, has changed the coach, and is tucked in nicely in third at the moment.
I agree with you. This is not the race she wanted, really. She needs a strong pace all the way, but she's obviously happy to sit there. But the girl to watch is Harman Langer, who, of course, was first in East Berlin last Wednesday evening.
And Harman Langer is back in fourth at the moment, wearing 22, taller of the East German girls. 270 is Hildegard Korner. And remember, we've got Ella Kovacs wearing 361 and Konstantin 281. And Yvonne Murray struck for home, and she knows that the pace isn't good enough for her, and she really has gone tearing off and has opened a very big gap before the first of the East Germans recognise it. Hildegard Korner is starting to try to close, but Murray has gone away in the way that she enjoys doing. With great strength and fortitude, she really has shot off like a startled rabbit, and she looks cool, calm and collected, and there's no way they're going to close the gap now because it's growing all the time. Yvonne Murray getting away from a very good East European field. The two Romanians have fell for it as well. The two East Germans couldn't do anything about it. The gap is 40 metres, and for a first run of the season, this is a tremendous run. Kovacs, Konstantin, Korner and Harman are all in her wake. And Yvonne Murray, one of these German girls, has gone down as Konstantin and Kovacs come in second place and third. And that's a big, big margin of victory. As Yvonne Murray takes the tape now, it's not particularly fast, 4:06.34. And Kovacs in third, Konstantin in second, and one of these German girls has gone down on the 200-metre bend.
The girl who fell, actually, Ron, was the favourite, Harman Langer, number 2 in the world this year. But the race was over then. Yvonne ran 60.5 for the last lap. We were talking about her needing a strong pace. She does, really, but she took them completely by surprise, and they paid the penalty for sleeping.
Meanwhile, Mick Hill about to throw the javelin, and he's got good reason to remember this stadium in perfect conditions. This is where he threw his British record last year. He's boomed another one out there. That's a nice jump. That looks to be, is that the 80-metre line? Mick Hill, 81.30, and he's throwing well again.
Averbuch of Sweden is on the inside in this 400 metres. That's Josko of Sweden, he's in lane 2. Outside him, Hernandez of Cuba. The Cuban record holder, 44.2 this year. Gabriel Chiako, number 37, he runs in lane 4. Innocent Egbenike of Nigeria, the silver medalist in the World Championships last year. Matthias Schersing of the German Democratic Republic in lane 6. And Jens Karlovitz of East Germany on the outside in lane 7. 45.37 this season. Hernandez, as usual, has gone up very quickly indeed. He's already up on Chiako. Chiako not having a good start to the season. Karlovitz on the outside is the hare. He's going to be first to 200 metres, and Hernandez is running very, very fast indeed. Has he gone off too quickly? He's already beaten the top names this season. Has beaten once by Schoenleber, and he's got a lot to make up on Karlovitz at the moment. Egbenike running well too. Chiako out of it. Karlovitz on the outside. Here comes Hernandez. Hernandez in lane 3. And it's Hernandez versus Karlovitz, and the yellow-vested Egbenike working hard against Chiako, is coming back. But Hernandez is way, way, way away. Hernandez wins it. And in second place, Egbenike, then Karlovitz. Good finish by Egbenike. Well, coming off the bend into the straight, Karlovitz was the hare, and Hernandez now is beginning to go away. Hernandez of Cuba stretching away, and the battle is for Egbenike. Egbenike, slowly but surely, in the yellow vest, catching Karlovitz. Benike, second in the World Championships last year, comes through. Hernandez wins it. Egbenike just takes Karlovitz on the line. So Nigeria second, and East Germany third.
Well, there's Yvonne Murray's confirmed time, 4:06.34. What a last lap she had, beating Konstantin of Romania, 4:09.42, and Kovacs of Romania. And what a battle that was. What a good opener for her at the start of her season. Yvonne Murray, 4:06.34 to win.
17 athletes in the 1500 meters final, including the world record holder, Saïd Ouita of Morocco. World record holder at 1500 meters, 2,000 meters and 5,000 meters. The Olympic champion and world champion at 5,000 meters. 3 3/4 laps of the track. Why they go first time. A real storm there for the leader. Wheater's dropped out of that. Doesn't want to know about it. There's a real scramble going on. Dave Campbell of Canada well up there. And the leader now is Mats of Sweden. Mats of Sweden, followed by Mays of America. And Wheater's dropped into 3rd place. In 4th place, Borgak. And Sidney Marie moves up now to 4th place. There's the leader. Mats, the Swede. James Mays chasing him. And Wheater in 3rd place. Marie is 4th. Borgak in 5th. 6th is O'Donoghue of New Zealand. Busser of East Germany in the field. Dave Campbell, the Commonwealth Games medalist. He's just behind O'Donoghue. And right up there too is Hans Kulka. They're coming around now to complete the first lap. And the 2 men who are obviously designated to make the pace are drawing away from the rest. And Ouita hasn't really gone with them. Approaching 400 meters, and the time at 400 meters, 56.13. Still Mats leading. Mays 2nd, Ouita 3rd, Marie 4, Donoghue 5, Busser 6, 7th is Cheriot, 8th is Kulka, 9th is Campbell.
Interesting that James Mays, the tall American, wearing the white sweatbands, keeps looking around looking for Ouita. And there is a question mark about Ouita's fitness because he recently ran in Morocco over 2 miles, and at first they gave him a world record and then readjusted the watch. It was 8 seconds slow. He said he'd never run in Morocco again, the big Swede song. So it's now James Mays again looking round. Sidney Marie is tracking him. Sidney Marie knows that there's a doubt about Ouita's fitness. And then the New Zealander, and Cheriot's come from the back to get up with the leading pack. So although it's good to see Ouita back on the track, he's not exactly closing that gap on Mays, and the pace isn't spectacularly fast. And this is what the world is waiting to see, what sort of speed Ouita has at this time of the year. 1:56.39 at 800 meters, and he's grimacing at the moment.
Well, we'll see whether he's fit or not in a minute, because he's not taking in too much notice of Mays, but he's really pace-making for the rest. But he's speeding up now and closing the gap. 600 meters left. Mays leads for America. Ouita in 2nd place. Sidney Marie of America 3rd. Cheriot of Kenya 4th. Busser East Germany 5. Donoghue of New Zealand 6. Just behind them in lavender is Gullberg of Denmark. Right up there is Kulka as well. And coming up on the outside, Hackensteiner of Switzerland in the yellow and blue. This time they'll hear the bell, and Mays leads. Long time since he's been in a race this long, but he's dropped out now, and Ouita left in front. Cheriot is there. Gullberg goes up, and it's Gullberg now who leads for Denmark. 2:45 at the bell, and Gullberg now has made the break. Ouita goes with him. Just behind him, Cheriot, then Marie, Hackensteiner, Busser, Campbell, Kulka, Donoghue. And down the back straight, Ouita is now prepared to take it on, but he hasn't shaken off Cheriot yet. Cheriot, the Kenyan, who ran in the Oslo Mile the other night behind Graham and ran well. And Cheriot takes it on now. And Ouita, can he respond? The world record holder's got a battle on now. Cheriot has had the courage to take him on, but Ouita comes back on the outside. Ouita trying to attack the Kenyan, and Ouita comes home for Morocco. He's got the measure of Cheriot. Marie in 3rd place, Kulka 4. So the world record holder proves his fitness, but he's not totally fit, I would think. Ouita leads, Cheriot 2nd. Marie 3rd, Kulka 4, Hackensteiner 5, Gullberg 6, Busser 7, Campbell 8, Donoghue 9, and the time 3:35.71. Well, Ouita had to work there. Cheriot made him work. But despite his apparent lack of fitness and racing, there have been all sorts of rumours about his problems. He's good enough here to come away. I suppose the next thing he's got to wait for is reaction and see what happens. Dionisi, his coach, will be pleased with that 54-second last lap. But having said that, tomorrow is the day that counts for him. If he's had problems, he had to work hard tonight.
Well, the 800-meter runners going back to their blocks because they've actually had a full start. There must be a lot of tension out there. There will be for Tom McKean. Tom McKean of Great Britain, his first race of the season. and with the worry of Rome still in his mind. But Tommy Boyle has got him to good condition, and if Yvonne Murray's running anything to go by, well, he's going to be in good form. Although he's against Moussa Fall of Senegal, who wears 108, Ereng, the new Kenyan find, who wears 141, an outstanding newcomer, Labi of Morocco. Incidentally, there's David Otley still in this javelin and throwing well. He and Mick Hill peppering the 80-metre line. Away go the 800-metre runners then. Is Skoog, Bregan, Enholm, Fall, Ereng, Labi, Kilbert, McKean, Quizera, Peter Brown and Leville. So Moussa Fall in red and Quizera the tall in blue and yellow, and it looks like Leville of Canada that's gone into the lead. Pierre Leville of Canada, he's a 400-metre hurdler, so I think we're looking at one of the hares. Quizera has tucked into second. 44 is the very good West German Brown, and Tom McKean strolling alongside, looking at Brown with that lovely shrug and looking extremely good. 44, 46 is Labi in the green and blue, and the pacemaker useless to them as he goes round in 51.09, so it's about 52.5 that Quizera went through in. Brown is following Quizera, and Tom McKean is just ahead of Labi. McKean known for his fast finishing kick, but he knows that Peter Brown has run 1:44.21, third ranked in the world this year as the pacemaker drops out. Quizera 1:45.88 this year. McKean knows too that he's a kicker, so McKean ahead of Labi at the moment. The little Swiss Gilbert coming into the running. McKean moves out, goes past Quizera, and is on the shoulder of Brown, who's running superbly, wearing 44. And McKean is kicking and going for home, and the big Scott's away, and he's leaving them for dead, and he's back to the sort of form we remember, and we can forget Rome and forgive him this. This is a marvellous run by McKean, an opener in 1:45.64, beating Peter Brown of West Germany, and beating him fairly easily. Quizera was up there, but I think that Ereng of Kenya came through for third. But what a good sprint finish from the Scot. It really was the sort of thing. Bells Hills boy comes through again, and look at him, he's hardly puffing. The real tough stuff from McKean. He's done it superbly, David.
He certainly has. And you know, Tom McKean was very heavily criticised for his failure in the World Championship final. He'd be the first to agree. But in fact, it's the one blot on his international record. The rest of the season, he ran well last year, really well, and here he comes home again in front. Brown in second place, the young Kenyan third. What a good win, though. A wheat to the winner of the 1,500 metres, 3:35.70. Chariot of Kenya in second place, 3:36.36, and Sydney Marie third, 3:37.08.
Coming up to 600 metres to go in the women's 3,000 metres. Ellie van Hulst of Holland leads. Williams of Canada in second place. The Romanian girl Besilou in fourth place, just behind Angela Tooby of Great Britain. The top four, they've been up front all the way. The rest have just hung on. Ellie van Hulst, the European indoor champion over 3,000 metres, has done well. The pace at about 8:45. The early pace by Junstra of Holland. So Van Hulst and Williams take it on. Tooby lacking pace at the moment. The fastest girl in the world this year at 2:72 in third place, Besilou. Tooby tucked in on the curb now. 2:64 is in fourth place. So the bell, sweet music. Van Hulst from Williams, from Besilou. Those three. Michalak in fourth place. Tooby in fifth. Berkey in sixth place. Now overtaking Tooby. Ellie van Hulst, Williams in second place. The Romanian Besilou in third. The first three now are clear. Van Hulst leading, Williams in second place, and the fastest girl in the world this year, Besilou of Romania, in third place. She's let the rest do the work, and now Williams, who ran well the other evening, is trying it on. Can the Romanian come through on the outside? Relatively unknown. She's had a good season, and Van Hulst on the inside is holding on. And in fact, it's Besley who wins it. Van Hulst in second, Williams in third, Berkey in fourth, Tooby in fifth, and Miljalek in sixth place. 8:44.00 the time, and that's unofficial.
Well, Ellie Van Hulst had a good sprint for the line, knowing that Besley was the better sprinter of the lot, 2:72, and this was a great race. Lynn Williams dwarfed by these two, just holding back, and Besley just gets up there. Ellie Van Hulst, and Tooby's time, Angela Tooby's time, unofficially 8:48.
Einar Vilhelmsson of Iceland, the last throw of the javelin competition. He's won it already. Nick Hills in second, and that's a very big throw indeed. Oh yes, and that's about 83, 84 metres. He leads with 83 metres and 34. And as I was saying, Nick Hills had a good start to his season with 81 metres and 30 in second place. David Otley, 77 metres and 40 in fourth. But the big Icelander, very disciplined this year. This is the best start to a season he's had. And look how close to that line he is. He's got this javelin right now, and there's the result. 83 metres and 44, it's his best throw.
Coming up to 2 laps to go in this steeplechase, Eddie Wedderburn prepared to take them on, going to the front. There's 3 very good Kenyans there. Mark Rowland in the pack as well. And this is a cracking good pace, 67 laps, and they're on for 8:20. Maminski is up there, Coleman in the blue of Holland, 3 good Kenyans. Sang is wearing 12, Koech is wearing 11, Rono is wearing 81. It'd be good to pick between them, and there's not much to choose from them on the clock. But Eddie Wedderburn, the Tipton Harrier, prepared to take them on and going from the front. Mark Rowland now in 4th place. There's Eddie, already done his Olympic qualifying standard. Just on his outside is Patrick Sang of Kenya. Patrick Sang, one of 3 splendid Kenyans in here, all of them capable of 8:20 or better. So Sang in second, Koech in third over this water jump, and good to see Mark Rowland from Pulborough, patron decorator for Phoenix AC, and a tough runner settling into this, which I think will be his best event. Eddie Wedderburn trying to put another injection of pace, and going away, Sang hanging on, Rowland on the shoulder of the other Kenyan, these 4 making a break, and it's still being maintained at a very fast pace as they take the bell. Eddie Wedderburn taking on these Kenyans. Maminski's dropped out and dropped way back, so has Coleman, and these 4 getting away. One of the Kenyans, Kip Rono, has dropped a little bit. He's got a lot of ground to make up. Wedderburn still taking them on, and it's Sang that's in second at the moment, Koech in 4th, Rowland in 3rd, and Mark Rowland having a good run as well. Wedderburn, the immaculate hurdler, and suddenly it's in the hands of Sang, and Koech is moved onto the shoulder of Mark Rowland, and the run for the last water jump, and from that they'll try and get away. But still the pace is being maintained. Mark Rowlands, who's running from side to side, trying to get a bit of a sprint finish. Eddie Wedderburn been dropped. Wearing 11 is Koech, wearing 12 is Sang. Koech getting away. Mark Rowland tucking in and grinding it out. He's going to run a lifetime best, and it's going to be an all-time best for him. Look at this. The clock stopping there, 8:15.73 for Koech, just outside that for Sang. And without a doubt, Mark Rowland has run himself into the record books. That must be the 3rd all-time on the British list. Well inside the Olympic qualifying, and Eddie Wedderburn must be 4th on the all-time British list. 2 magnificent runs by the British in an event which has often been dominated by the Kenyans. Remember Biwott, Kipkano, Benjipcho, Korea, and now we've got Peter Koech. And with this run, he heads the world ranking list. That's the fastest we've seen in the world this year. Kenya, Great Britain, Great Britain. Tom, well done, and you must have silenced a few critics with that one.
I don't really know, just glad to get this one out of the road. I quite enjoyed it.
This your first race of any kind of the season?
Yeah, it's the first one now. That's 9 months ago was my last one. So it's a nice way to warm up the season.
I should say it was. Were you running under instructions? What did Tommy Boyle say you had to do?
Mainly, it's a boy Murray in the back making faces. Mainly just to go with the pack, watch what I'm doing, and try not to get any trouble, and just, I suppose, tread carefully the first one and just see what happens.
There were some fast kickers in the field. Were you scared of anyone?
Not really, not as far as kicking goes, because there are a few guys there. Granted, they've run a lot more races, I expected them to be quicker, you know, because like I've still got the cobwebs to get out, but I was pleased.
Must have been a great feeling when you put your foot on the accelerator and all the speed was still there.
Yeah, well, I think some of the speed was there, yeah. I was surprised. At first I thought they were going backwards and let me win it, but no, the speed was there, which was good. I enjoyed it.
This time, the lap marker shows 2 to go. Mateab leads. Domingos Castro in second place. Dionisio Castro in third place. Fourth is Doherty of Ireland. Fifth is Barrios of Mexico. Sixth is Baumann of West Germany. Seventh, Russo of Belgium, who was first in Helsinki last Thursday. Just behind him in 8th place, and Thibault of Italy. 9th is Gary Staines, and 10th is Panetta, the world steeplechase champion, followed by the man who's won Olympic gold medals at 10,000 metres, the European Championship as well, and the World Championship, Cova of Italy, back after injury. But he's a long way off the pace now. They've got 600 metres left, the leaders. Still, Mateab takes them round. Castro in second place. Moving up at the outside, Dieter Baumann of West Germany. First in the recent international match against East Germany at 3,000 metres. He's in the white top and blue shorts. Barrios in the all-red of Mexico just behind him. Doherty, John Doherty, formerly of Leeds, in the green of Ireland. Russo up there, the winner in Helsinki. And so, the bell. Morocco, Portugal, West Germany, Ireland, Belgium and Mexico. 7 athletes bunched together. Staines back in 10th place for Great Britain. And Mateab still leading. What a run this is by Doherty. John Doherty, the Irishman, 26, hits the front. He's always had ability, but he's been hampered by injury. 200 metres left, and Mateab isn't beaten yet. Doherty struck hard for home, but the Moroccan has got an answer. Only 20, but Doherty's hanging in there. Mateab finds space to try and get across. Mateab leads. Doherty has to check back and come back on the outside. Barrios is third, and Doherty has another go. The Moroccan is beaten, and Doherty, a marvellous run by him. All the promise his Leeds clubmate said he got is now maturing tonight. Doherty wins, Barrios second. Third is Baumann, fourth is Mateab, fifth and sixth the Castro twins, seventh Russo, eighth Thibault, and in ninth place, being chased by Panetta, is Gary Staines. And the time, 13:17.15. A fine race, but what a fine win as well. Well, he went early. Mateab took him on, but Doherty reckoned he could take him because he checked back, came back on the outside again, and he had the strength to come home in front. The last 400 metres, we clocked at 58.2. But this was good running indeed. He kept cool. Barrios goes into second place, and Mateab, after so much hard work, the 20-year-old, relaxes too much and is overtaken on the line for third place by Baumann. Fastest time in the world this year. Well, this Scandinavian tour has been a triumph for British athletes. After several outstanding wins in Helsinki and Oslo, tonight there have been 3 more. Tom McKean at 800 metres, Paula Dunn 200 metres, Yvonne Murray at 1500 metres. Second place for Mick Hill in the javelin, the longest throw by a Briton this year. And Mark Rowland, third in the steeplechase, and Eddie Widderman fourth. And the third and fourth fastest times ever by British athletes. And a word too about John Doherty, formerly of Leeds City, now of Ireland, the fastest time in the world this year at 5,000 metres. Well, from Stockholm, the next stop on BBC television is Nice. Steve Cram, winner of the Green Mile in Oslo, heads the British team. Sunday afternoon, grandstand on BBC 2. And the highlights on BBC 1 at 11:20. We'll be with you then from Nice on Sunday. So now from Stockholm, good night.
Well, over on 2 now, Richie Benno is looking back on
the Lotus team cheering, and Senna takes the checkered flag.
What are the differences?
You can't do that, Murray, do you first? You got to do it from the top.
Look at him. This is absolutely unbelievable.
Right or wrong, here he is out of the last corner to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, his second Grand Prix victory in succession.
You've got an enormous bump on your head. Can you let them see it?
I don't know whether...
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wins his 28th Grand Prix, he knows it.
Bernie, it's some 17 years since you bought McLaren. You've had some good times and you've had some bad times. What do you remember best?
I don't remember buying McLaren.
Murray, as we enter another season, how is 88 going to contrast with 87?
I think, honestly, Steve, we are going to see the best season of Formula One Grand Prix racing for many, many years, if not ever. The whole thing is absolutely wide open. I am utterly confident that it's going to be much better than last year, and last year was good.
Explain to us the main changes in terms of engines and the balance of power between the teams.
Well, the first thing is that last year the turbo cars had what is called 4-bar boost, which is 4 times atmospheric pressure, and they had 195 litres of fuel, and the 3.5-litre cars had unlimited fuel, and the turbos were much quicker. Now this year they're paying a 37.5% penalty because the turbo boost is coming down from 4 to 2.5, and their fuel allowance is coming down from 195 litres to 150, which, if my maths is right, is 25% less. The 3.5-litre cars, again, are going to have unlimited fuel, and they're going to have the advantage of being 40 kilograms lighter than the turbo cars. Now, that's all very complicated, but what it boils down to is that the previously considerable gap between the turbos and the non-turbos has now been virtually, if not totally, eliminated.
Now, last season, the story was of Nigel Mansell's challenge. Do you feel that Nigel is in a stronger or weaker position this season?
Well, I think he's got to be in a weaker position than 1988, because last year he and Nelson Piquet undoubtedly had the best car in the Williams Honda, Now, this year it's the Williams Judd 3.5 litre engine. We don't know how well that's going to go because the Judd engine is really an unknown quantity. But knowing John Judd, it will be very good. And we know from the testing times that they've had at places like Imola and Jerez and Rio that Patrese and Mansell and the Williams Judds are very, very close to the turbo cars. And although I have to reluctantly say I'm not optimistic that Nigel will win the World Championship, I'm certainly very hopeful that he'll win races.
All those who've been brave enough to put their neck on the line have pointed to the strength, certainly, of McLaren and also of Ferrari. Do you see those as the early pace setters, at least?
You took the words out of my mouth, but Steve, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that if I had to put money on somebody, which I would very reluctantly do before the season's even begun, I would split it two ways between Prost, because he is the best driver in the world, I believe, and because McLaren always come up with a good car, and their new one was fastest out of the box at Imola in the testing, and Berger in the Ferrari. Now, I have reason to believe that Ferrari are not as happy with their turbo car, even though they've been fastest in testing, as they would hope to be. And in the end analysis, I would still put the money on Prost. And I expect I'll be proved wrong at the end of the season.
Those words are indelibly printed. And you can see the first race from Brazil. There you are. On Sunday in Grand Prix. Welcome back to Grand Prix. Before we go, a couple of football matches going on this afternoon. One over.
No liquid cleaner can beat the power of pure, undiluted Flash. But if you prefer a lemon fragrance, there's now a liquid that can match it. New Flash Lemon, with a fresh lemon scent. Pine or new lemon, both wipe out dirt in a flash.
His first time alone at the dentist. I'd hate him to need fillings this time. My teeth were weak, but at least his should be stronger.
His teeth are stronger thanks to a new toothpaste which strengthens tooth enamel against decay. New Enamelin Formula Crest. Imagine tooth enamel is like a wall. Some areas are more prone to decay, but new Crest strengthens those areas to help block decay.
No fillings.
New Enamelin Formula Crest, a stronger wall against decay.
I've got a gum, it's Wrigley Spearmint gum. For me, it's the chew, it's my number one. It's so minty cool, minty through and through it. It tastes so great, you'll just love to chew it. Wrigley Spearmint gum. Cool, fresh taste, share it with someone. It's so minty cool, minty through and through it. Tastes so great, you'll just love to chew it. Tastes so great, you'll just love to chew it.
I'm sorry, mate. The reception's off. The best man's run off with me lovely bride, Shirley. And some joker has stolen the Castlemaine 4X. It's okay, we found the 4X!
What about the best man?
Oh, that's fine. He rang up from the motel and apologised.
Australians wouldn't give a Castlemaine 4X for anything else.
Oh, they come from all over the place. Some of them come specially, some just visiting the area. Over 100,000 came to the exhibition last year. They wanted to find out about British nuclear fuels, like the fact that we supply the fuel for Britain's 18 nuclear power stations. Facts you can find out at the Sellafield Exhibition Centre. Come and see us. Just drop in.
Just don't all come at once.
Will you stay?